Chapter 349. The navigators of the He family team were stunned. Was that really Lin Yan's car? Putting everything else aside, just the way he overtook WW's captain in the end could only be described as breathtaking. It was simply too amazing. How was this a race? This was clearly a performance. How could this be? How could this be possible? He Xiong stared at Lin Yan, who had opened the car door absent-mindedly and stepped out of the driver's seat. When He Xiong was young, he was also a racer. He had raced on many tracks and met many racers, but he had never seen such driving skills. Not far away, the smile on Qing Li's face had long since frozen. Did she open it? Could there be someone else in the car? One of the navigators asked with a face full of suspicion. I think there's something strange going on. How could there be such driving skills? It's more like some kind of performance. Another navigator sitting beside Qing Li said anxiously. Are you an idiot? Zhang Yun, who had been replaced, glared at the navigators. Are you guys stupid, or is WW stupid? How could they cheat in such a competition? Lin Yan was the only one in the car. As Zhang Yun's voice fell, the two navigators were speechless. She replaced me. Now I have nothing to say. She single-handedly won the entire WW? Zhang Yun stared at the silver car on the track, his face full of shock. He Dingquan stood in the distance, unable to recover from the shock. Impossible. How could she be so strong? She's just a navigator. How could she surpass Mingkai? He Xiong's expression was ugly. She didn't overtake Mingkai. She overtook all the racers on the track while she was on the show. At this moment, Air Commander slowly walked over. Air Commander turned to He Dingquan and chuckled. Senior He, your granddaughter is really amazing. I can tell that you were an outstanding racer when you were young. He Dingquan snapped out of his daze. Air Force God, you're too kind. Suddenly He Xiong said, that's impossible. There must be a problem, or it's just luck. What? One of the speed members frowned as he glanced at He Xiong and the others. I'm afraid you have some misunderstanding about why. Miss Lin Yan. This is totally within our expectations. We came here to watch Miss Lin compete. How could it be luck? What did you say? He Xiong was stunned. Didn't you come for Mingkai? Qing Li frowned and looked at Air Commander and the others. Mingkai. One of the team members was slightly stunned. Who is Mingkai? Oh, he's Miss Lin's cousin. He's also an ordinary racer from the He family team, explained another racer. Hearing this, He Xiong and Qing Li couldn't believe it. They didn't even know who He Mingkai was. And an ordinary racer from the He family team? How could he be ordinary? Lin Yan removed her helmet and walked to the He family team. The ZH1 team members followed him excitedly. Everyone from Speed, it's been a long time. God Z glanced at Air Commander and the others. Yeah, it's been a long time since we lost to Miss Lin Yan. Miss Lin Yan sent all of us out of the racetrack on her own. This time she sent WW out of the racetrack on her own. However, WW is only slightly stronger than their captain. One of the Speed members chuckled. As the man finished speaking, Qing Li, He Xiong, and the others were completely dumbfounded. Lin Yan had sent Speed out of the racetrack with her own hands? End of update. Muang, this chapter will continue to draw canvas bags from my baby. I will announce the list of 50 canvas bags during the period of the double monthly ticket event on October 7th. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience is coming from LoveNet. Chapter 350. All the members of the He family team were in a daze. The navigators of the He family team couldn't believe their eyes. They had personally sent Speed out of the racetrack. Furthermore, Lin Yan had done it alone. How could such a thing have happened? However, why would a team as powerful as Speed have to lie? What was their motive? Besides, they had witnessed with their own eyes that Lin Yan had sent WW out of the racetrack. The members of the He family team glanced at each other. Did this mean that Lin Yan had possessed top-notch racing skills right from the start? Now that they thought about it, the elimination race with Old Tang's team wasn't a coincidence. Not only was Lin Yan a top-notch racer, but she was also a top-notch navigator. The funny thing was that they had mocked and ridiculed Lin Yan. They had even suggested that Lin Yan should become Qing Li's disciple. Before long, a few of the He family racers turned to look at Qing Li, thinking back to what Qing Li had said before. It was truly laughable. What had he said? That Lin Yan's piloting skills were average. That she had won because of luck? Qing Li was indeed the best navigator in the He family team. However, the He family team was just a small team, so Qing Li was at most an intermediate navigator. How dare he mock and ridicule a top-notch racer and navigator? He had even led them into a ditch. Many members of the He family team finally understood why Lin Yan hadn't retorted in the face of all the mockery and ridicule. If they had been in Lin Yan's shoes, they wouldn't have bothered to explain themselves if they had met a rookie. Because they wouldn't have bothered. He was disdainful, so he wouldn't bother to explain anything. The difference between them was too great, so they wouldn't have bothered to explain themselves. In Lin Yan's eyes, all of them were insignificant ants that weren't even worth mentioning. Many of the racers who had mocked and ridiculed Lin Yan before were flushed with embarrassment. They wished they could dig a hole and hide in it. "Lin Yan, how dare you set me up on the track?" He Mingkai strode over and glared at Lin Yan. "Grandfather, Dad, if it hadn't been for her, I wouldn't have gotten this result. She deliberately set me up so that I would lose face in front of ZH1 and Speed." Hearing this, He Xiong clenched his teeth as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, not a single word came out. "C. ZH1 and Speed are here because of me. Without me, you wouldn't have been able to participate in this competition. Where did you learn your driving skills? How dare you trick me on the track? You ingrate." He Mingkai was furious. "My friend." Suddenly, Air Commander's eyes landed on He Mingkai. "I think you have misunderstood something. Speed is here to cheer for Miss Lin Yan. As for you, I'm sorry, we really don't know each other. My words might sound harsh, but please don't take it to heart. Given your racing skills, you might not even be able to join an ordinary team in the country." He Mingkai froze when he heard Air Commander. What had he just said? Speed wasn't here because of him? "Brother Mingkai, the fact that you can participate in this competition. No, the fact that your family can participate in this competition is because we have confidence in Miss Lin Yan. That's why we allowed the He family team to represent ZH1 in the competition. You might have misunderstood." ZH1's Mumu grinned at He Mingkai. Chapter 351. Speed and ZH1 could tell that He Mingkai and Lin Yan didn't have a good relationship. They might even be enemies. In that case, there was no need for them to give He Mingkai and his team any face on Lin Yan's account. "He Mingkai, with your driving skills, you might not be able to beat any regular team member. Who taught you and your father that you are so strong?" One of the ZH1 racers glanced at He Mingkai and He Xiong. "Oh yeah, that navigator of yours is called Qingli. He can't even remember the basic rules, yet he wants Miss Lin Yan to be his disciple? This must be the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life." "That's right. Miss Lin Yan defeated all the members of Speed, yet she still wants to be his disciple? Has she been sitting in a well for too long that she doesn't know what the sky looks like?" Qing Li's face darkened when he heard this, but he couldn't utter a single word. "Lin Yan? Beat Speed?" He Mingkai gasped in disbelief. "That's impossible. That's impossible. Something must have gone wrong. How could she beat me?" Air Commander's eyes trailed to Lin Yan as he chuckled softly. "Miss Lin Yan, can we exchange contact details? I have some racing techniques that I would like to learn from you." "Me?" Lin Yan glanced at Air Commander and grinned. "Air Commander, my piloting skills are superficial. It was pure luck that I won against Speed in WW." Air Commander hastily replied, "Miss Lin, you're too humble." What kind of joke was this? Did he think that he didn't know that she was the racetrack's Grim Reaper? "I'm telling the truth." Lin Yan inhaled deeply and rejected him patiently. "Speaking of which, isn't Air Commander's attitude towards me a little too strange? Even if she had won against them, he wouldn't have been so polite. After all, racers were prideful. Even if they had lost, they wouldn't have admitted defeat." Everyone in the He family team stared at Lin Yan in shock. Air Commander wanted to exchange contact details with Lin Yan, but Lin Yan had rejected him. "Miss Lin, don't be like this. Just keep it. I promise not to disturb you." "Really?" Air Commander continued to pester him. It was the racetrack's Grim Reaper. He had to get it. He had to take advantage of the fact that Yeva was Lin Yan right now. Otherwise, when she resumed her identity as the racetrack's Grim Reaper, it would be extremely difficult for him to meet her, let alone contact her. Lin Yan was rendered speechless by Air Commander's pestering. In the end, she had no choice but to exchange contact information with him. Air Commander was satisfied when he received Lin Yan's contact. "All right, Miss Lin Yan. We won't disturb you today. We have something to attend to, so we'll make a move." After saying that, Air Force knew when to stop. Then he led Speed and the others away. "Captain, give me your contact number." "Captain. I want it too." Lin Yan was speechless. The members of WW hadn't shown up yet, as though they were indignant. However, Lin Yan didn't care. This had nothing to do with her. Even if WW didn't show up, it didn't mean that they had won. "Grandfather, I still have something to do, so I'll be leaving first." Lin Yan tossed her helmet and gloves aside and grinned at He Dinkuan. Before He Dinkuan could snap back to his senses, Lin Yan had already left, leaving the shocked He family members behind. Chapter 352. The ZH1 team was the most excited team right now. If they had competed against WW, they would have lost the competition and lost the right to enter the third level of the international competition. They would also have been ridiculed by the entire industry. WW's original intention had been to provoke them and take revenge. However, ZH1 had miraculously won the competition and entered the third level of the international competition. God Z had never been so thankful for his decision. He had been so wise. God Z glanced at He Dinkuan and said gratefully, "Old Master He, we will remember this favor. Please thank Miss Lin Yan on my behalf." He Dinkuan, who was still in shock, replied hastily, "You're too kind. Actually, the He family team hadn't helped at all. It was all Xiaoyan's fault." God Z sighed heavily and replied regretfully, "I had wanted to invite Miss Lin Yan to join ZH1, but she rejected me. I was puzzled at the time, but I soon realized that she was your granddaughter. No wonder she insisted on staying and helping the He family team." The members of the He family team glanced at each other awkwardly. Lin Yan had rejected God Z's invitation and joined the He family team, yet they had treated her with such an attitude. They had even thought that it was He Mingkai's doing. If He Mingkai had been that capable, the He family team wouldn't have ended up in this state. They had been too narrow-minded and arrogant. Meanwhile, at the VIP seats, Qi Xiaoyuan stared at Wei Shufeng, who was flabbergasted. He waved his right hand in front of Wei Shufeng's eyes and grinned. "Brother, are you going to run?" A certain someone had posted on Weibo that if the He family team won, he would run naked. F***CKU. Wei Shufeng snapped back to his senses and glared at Qi Xiaoyuan. "Mr. Wei, I would like to interview you. I want to know how you are feeling right now." Qi Xiaoyuan chuckled softly as he sat beside Wei Shufeng. Wei Shufeng frowned as he tried to recall what had happened earlier. How could that be? How could Lin Yan be so good at racing? Could it be that she was a racing genius? Had she been practicing all this while? Or had she always been good at racing? No matter how good she was, there was no way she could beat a top team like WW. Was there something fishy going on? However, he had seen it with his own eyes. Lin Yan was indeed a good driver. Besides, she was the one who had driven the car. This couldn't be fake. Lin Yan. She doesn't look like she's competing. She looks like she's performing. Wei Shufeng muttered under his breath. Actually, any normal racer could achieve a good stage performance, but it was impossible to beat WW with a stage performance. Unless WW had deliberately allowed Lin Yan to win. However, it didn't seem realistic. Why would WW allow the He family team to win? Wei Shufeng, hurry up and fulfill your promise. You still need an autograph from me last time. Isn't that inappropriate? Qi Xiaoyuan grinned at Wei Shufeng. Wei Shufeng rolled his eyes at Qi Xiaoyuan. Scram. Meanwhile, Lin Yan had just left the preparation area. As she walked past the stands, she caught a glimpse of a familiar figure. Lin Yan staggered when she saw who it was. She was scared out of her wits. Holy shit. Pei Yuqing, I would like to emphasize that all of you, especially those who are students, shouldn't donate money just for the sake of the activities. We have many activities, including the building a building and book review. There are also many prizes, so it's easy to win prizes. Many of you have already won many prizes. P.S. A new month has begun. Let's double the monthly tickets. Our Rest of Life only has 4 months to ask for tickets this year, so I'm begging the fairies for more support. I'm going to continue writing. I'll try to write more today. Chapter 353. Why was Pei Yuqing here? Why was he sitting on the VIP seats? Lin Yan's brain seemed to have stopped working. To make matters worse, Pei Yuqing seemed to have spotted her as well. His eyes darted in her direction. Lin Yan stood rooted to the ground as Pei Yutong scampered over to her. Lin Yan pulled him over and whispered, "Why is your brother here? Did you tell him about the competition?" Pei Yutong scowled miserably. How could that be possible? I'm a tight-lipped person. I don't know how my brother found out. I was stunned when he suddenly appeared. Why didn't you tell me earlier? You were about to start the competition. I was afraid that it would affect your performance. Affect my ass. In a competition of this level, what could possibly affect their performance? However, Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yuqing and swallowed her saliva. That might not be the case. Perhaps it would really affect. Sister-in-law, you should think about what to do now. It wasn't easy for the two of you to get back together. Don't break up again. I really can't take this blow. Pei Yutong spoke in despair. Lin Yan's face darkened. She had broken up with Pei Yuqing, not with him. Why would he suffer such a blow? Lin Yan felt a headache coming on. Does your brother really hate racing that much? Pei Yutong muttered under his breath. My brother chased me out of the house because of racing. Every time I mention racing. No, even if I drive a little faster, my brother gets angry. What do you think? Lin Yan was dumbfounded. Isn't that the end? Pei Yutong replied, I think so too. Lin Yan was speechless. She had no choice but to bite the bullet and walk toward Pei Yuqing. The man was dressed casually today. Even though he was dressed casually, he was still so handsome that it made one's heart skip a beat. Is the competition over? Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl. Judging from the man's expression, he didn't seem angry at all. However, it was hard to guess Pei Yuqing's emotions, so Lin Yan couldn't figure out his attitude. Lin Yan nodded cautiously. Yes, it's over? Shall we have dinner together? How could Lin Yan say no? She nodded eagerly. Okay. Lin Yan couldn't help but ask, Mr. Pei, did you watch my competition? Pei Yuqing nodded. I did. Tears streamed down Lin Yan's cheeks. Wasn't she being caught in public? How should I put it, actually, or she could say that she didn't know how to race at all and didn't like racing. She was only doing it for Grandpa's team and was forced to do it. Even if she won, it would have been pure luck. Lin Yan was racking her brains for an explanation when he suddenly stroked her hair. His deep and magnetic voice was low and husky. What reward do you want for winning the competition? Lin Yan, who was dumbfounded, couldn't react in time. Not only wasn't Pei Yuqing angry, but he even wanted to reward her. Pei Yutong, who was listening intently in the front passenger seat, was speechless. Is there nothing you want? Pei Yuqing gazed at her quietly. He paused for a moment before he said, anything you want? The indulgence and pampering in the man's eyes were like warm seawater wrapping around her, simply enough to drown her. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit Self-Love website. Chapter 354. Lin Yan was speechless, Pei Yutong was speechless. His big brother hadn't watched any of his races, but he had attended his sister-in-law's race. If he won, he wouldn't even get a wheel. If his sister-in-law won, she would give him everything she wanted. His brother was simply a world-renowned double standard. Forget it. As long as big brother and sister-in-law were in love, he didn't care how much he suffered. Actually, Lin Yan was surprised by Pei Yuqing's attitude. She asked in a daze, Mr. Pei, aren't you angry that I went to race? Pei Yuqing propped his hand on his forehead and gazed at the girl intently. Why would I be angry? You look beautiful on the track. Lin Yan was speechless. The moment Pei Yuqing said that, Lin Yan felt as though her heart had melted into a flowing stream in spring. She had only felt occasional feelings for Pei Yuqing in the past, but now, this was the first time she really wanted to be with him. Pei Yutong tilted his head and glanced at Cheng Yimong. Actually, I'm very handsome when I race. Cheng Yimong was speechless. Have you thought about it? Asked Pei Yuqing. Lin Yan snapped back to her senses and realized what had just happened. She was startled by her own thoughts. Was she crazy? How dare she covet Pei Yuqing? Lin Yan scratched her head and said hastily, I don't think there's a reward. Besides, I don't think I want anything. Actually, Pei Yuqing's I can have anything was really bewitching. Pei Yuqing replied nonchalantly, there's no rush. You can think about it slowly. It's effective anytime. The car arrived at Pei Yuqing's villa. They saw Pei Nanshu as soon as they entered. Pei Nanshu stood up and smiled warmly. You're back. Pei Nanshu glanced at Lin Yan and asked casually, Big sister-in-law, I heard that you participated in a race today? Yeah. How did you know? I accidentally saw the gossip. I wanted to go with big brother to support you, but I had work to do today so I couldn't go, explained Pei Nanshu. I see, indeed the gossip had leaked. However, she hadn't expected Pei Yuqing to read the gossip. How was the competition? Asked Pei Nanshu. Because it was only a low-level qualifier, it would not be broadcast on TV, let alone live broadcast. People outside the circle would not pay attention to this kind of race. Only some fans at the scene would know the results of the race. Before Lin Yan could respond, Pei Yutong interjected excitedly, my big sister-in-law will definitely win. Is there still any suspense? Pei Nanshu chuckled lightly. I didn't expect you to have such a special ability. Actually, this competition is a good opportunity to change the fans' impression of you. Lin Yan nodded furiously. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. My manager, Zhao Hongling, has promised the company that she has to top the sales within 3 months. Otherwise, she will have to resign from her position as the director of the talent recruitment department. Hence, I've been thinking of ways to boost my sales. There's not much time left, so I'm thinking that I'll create a wave of momentum after the movie is released, and then use this competition to create another wave of momentum. With the two waves of popularity together, it shouldn't be a problem to rush to the top of the sales within the final time limit. For mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 355. Pei Nanshu listened to Lin Yan's analysis and quipped, "It seems like you have it all planned out. No wonder my brother is so confident in you. Previously, when we asked my brother if we needed to help you, my brother said that you could handle it yourself." Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yuqing in surprise. Pei Yuqing's trust, understanding and respect had touched her even more than her heart had ever been moved. "Thank you." Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yuqing and couldn't help but thank him. "Thank you, for trusting me." She had been despised by the entire world. Pei Yuqing bent over and poured a glass of juice for Lin Yan. "You're welcome. I have always had good taste." Lin Yan felt as though she had been injected with adrenaline when she heard Pei Yuqing's words. Just when she had thought that Pei Yuqing was blind, he had said that he had always had good taste. Boss thought so highly of her. Lin Yan replied excitedly, "I promised Mr. Pei that I would enter Summit Entertainment. I can't just enter just like that. Of course, I have to sign it in a glamorous manner. Don't worry, I will work hard." Why did it sound like she was going to marry him in a glamorous manner? Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl, who looked as though she wanted to work hard and contribute to the company. Helplessness flickered in his eyes as he retrieved a document from the drawer. "The contract is ready. Take a look and see if there are any amendments. If there are no problems, you can sign it at any time." Lin Yan took the contract. "Can I buy one get two free? My manager and assistant have been working together for a long time. I guarantee that my manager is very capable, and my assistant is very attentive, gentle, and sweet." Pei Yuqing replied, "It's up to you. You can decide. I will get my assistant to prepare a copy of the contract." She hadn't expected that Pei Yuqing would agree without hesitation. Lin Yan stared at the man in front of her. It was as though a pair of pure white wings had sprouted from his back. He was like an angel. "What do you want to eat tonight?" "I'll cook for you," Pei Yuqing said as he prepared to cook. Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan felt a chill down her spine when she heard this. He was going to cook again. Pei Yutong spat out a mouthful of juice and Pei Nanshu looked nervous. Lin Yan replied hastily, "No, it's okay. How can I let Mr. Pei cook for me personally?" "That's right, big brother. Let the chef at home do it. Big sister-in-law hasn't tried the new chef's cooking yet." Pei Yutong chimed in. Pei Nanshu replied, "Big brother, I didn't know that you were going to cook. I asked the kitchen to prepare the food." Lin Yan grabbed his arm when she saw that he was still contemplating. "We don't meet often. It's rare for us to meet again. Can you spend more time with me?" Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl's arm. "Okay." Pei Yutong looked excited. "Big sister-in-law, well done." Pei Nanshu heaved a sigh of relief. In case he wanted to cook again, she led him to the bedroom. Initially, Lin Yan had been worried that there would be an awkward silence when she was alone with Pei Yuqing. In the end, Pei Yuqing chatted casually with her about the trivial matters of his life. He didn't seem awkward at all. Chapter 356. In the living room, Pei Nanshu glanced at Cheng Yimou. "How's my brother's condition?" Cheng Yimou clicked on a photo on his phone and replied, "Ever since the last incident, President Pei's condition has been extremely unstable. The chairman has already transferred all the experts from the United States to the country to be on standby in case of an emergency. The doctor just sent the test results. He said that President Pei's condition exceeded the limit 6 times today, but there was a period where his condition was stable. Hence, he asked me what he was doing during this period. I took a look. This stable period happened to be the period from when Boss Pei went to the competition venue to meet Miss Lin until now." Pei Yutong clicked his tongue. "He's indeed my father. He's so powerful. If big sister-in-law stays by my brother's side 24 hours a day, wouldn't he recover?" Pei Nanshu frowned. Lin Yan is a human being. How can she be restricted 24 hours a day? Have you forgotten what happened last time? Pei Yutong nodded furiously. That's true. Although big sister-in-law stabilizer is very effective, it's also a ticking time bomb. It was terrifying when big sister-in-law flipped out. Cheng Yimou chimed in, President Pei and Miss Lin's relationship has stabilized. That's the best outcome. We can't be too hasty. Pei Yutong quipped, As long as big sister-in-law doesn't break up with big brother, everything will be fine. I can just beg big sister-in-law if there's anything. Lin Yan stayed for dinner and discussed the contract with Pei Yuqing and Pei Nanshu. Pei Yuqing's condition wasn't stable, and he didn't like people approaching him. Hence, Pei Nanshu had been staying at the villa to take care of him. Pei Yutong, who had run away from home, couldn't come here casually. Hence, he took advantage of Lin Yan's presence to enjoy the feeling of staying in a huge villa. Soon it was past 11 p.m. Pei Yuqing reminded her, "It's late. Go back and rest." Lin Yan hadn't noticed the time until Pei Yuqing reminded her that it was getting late. "Oh, okay. I'll make a move first. Mr. Pei, you should rest early too." Lin Yan stood up. Pei Yutong, who had been playing games on the couch, stood up immediately. "I'm leaving too." Sister-in-law was not here, so he did not dare to stay here alone. Pei Yuqing and Pei Nanshu walked Lin Yan to the door and asked Pei Yutong to take her back. Pei Yutong blinked and frowned. Why didn't Big Brother send her off personally? However, he didn't dare to refute his big brother's words, nor did he dare to ask. He really felt that the relationship between his elder brother and his sister-in-law was too distant. They did not seem like a couple at all. Isn't this progress a little too slow? Okay, I'll definitely send sister-in-law home safely. As Pei Yutong spoke, he couldn't help but curse inwardly. Even if he let his sister-in-law go out alone at night, the one in danger would be someone else. Lin Yan bade them farewell and got into Pei Yutong's car. Pei Yuqing didn't return to his room immediately. Instead, he lowered his eyes and lit a cigarette. He stood quietly in the dark as he watched the car leave. Beep, beep, beep. On his wrist, the silver watch's siren went from weak and slow to rapid and intense. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 357. Brother, are you all right? Pei Nanshu hesitated as he stood nervously by the side. From Pei Nanshu's point of view, Big Brother had always been cold and distant in their hearts. He had always been indifferent to relationships and had been like an omnipotent god. He was flawless and didn't have any normal human emotions. Until Lin Yan had appeared. Although they didn't know the reason, Lin Yan seemed to be more important to Big Brother than they had imagined. To Big Brother, there was no one or anything in his life that could escape his control. This was the first time he had treated someone with such care, such nervousness and restraint, in the car that gradually drove away. Lin Yan, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, frowned as she instinctively turned around. She seemed to have vaguely heard the familiar sound of her watch's alarm. She didn't know why, but she felt uneasy. She couldn't help but recall the scene of Pei Yuqing standing below her building that night. Pei Yutong, who didn't notice Lin Yan's absent-mindedness, exclaimed excitedly, "Daddy, you're really awesome. You actually beat WW. Daddy, take me in as your disciple. I want to be your disciple." Lin Yan rolled her eyes at him. She wasn't in the mood to talk to him. "I refuse." Pei Yutong looked aggrieved. "Why?" Lin Yan replied, "I don't accept disciples for no reason." None of the racers she had trained were below the first level of the international competition. Pei Yutong retorted confidently, "How can I be the same as others? I'm your brother-in-law after all. Can't you just let me in?" Lin Yan was speechless. She couldn't refute him, however, her father, brother-in-law, and disciple. What kind of complicated and strange relationship would that be? Lin Yan brushed him off casually. "I think a father-son relationship is good enough. If we become master and disciple, wouldn't my seniority drop?" Pei Yutong thought that her words made sense. He pondered them seriously before he replied, "No way. Isn't there a saying that goes, a teacher for a day is a father for life? No matter what, you'll always be my father. This will never change." Lin Yan was speechless as she listened to Pei Yutong's solemn promise. Pei Yutong's eyes darted around when Lin Yan fell silent. Suddenly he exclaimed, "It's okay if you don't want to accept me as your disciple. You're my father, so you should teach me. Don't you agree, Dad? A disciple was nothing. You can have many disciples, but you can only have me as your son." Lin Yan was speechless. "That's enough. Haven't you ever thought that you still have two big brothers? Is it really good for you to acknowledge a father unilaterally? Daddy, why are you so absent-minded? What are you thinking about?" Pei Yutong finally realized that something was amiss. Lin Yan propped her forehead against her palm as she watched the Pei family's mansion from the rearview mirror. She muttered, "I miss your brother." Pei Yutong coughed violently as he grumbled, "Big sister-in-law, can you remind me when you stuff dog food into my mouth next time? I might choke if you stuff dog food into my mouth without warning." How's your brother's health recently? Have you recovered? Asked Lin Yan. Pei Yutong replied, how could she have recovered? She acts up several times a day. Her condition is as unstable as a roller coaster. Chapter 358. Lin Yan frowned. Then why did Pei Yuqing keep telling her that he was fine? She had thought that given Pei Yuqing's background, the experts would have a solution. However, whenever he's with you, big sister-in-law, my brother's condition is very stable. Actually, Lin Yan had realized this herself. She hadn't believed it at first and had thought that it was just a coincidence. When the car was about to leave the villa, Lin Yan suddenly told Pei Yutong, hold on. Turn around and go back to the villa. Go back to the villa? Now. Pei Yutong was startled. Yes, now. Lin Yan replied anxiously, afraid that she would regret her decision. What was this about? The more beautiful a creature was, the more poisonous it was. This time she just wanted to follow her heart and be willful for once. Oh, okay. Pei Yutong thought that she had something urgent to attend to, so he turned around hurriedly and drove back. At the entrance of the villa, under the shade of the swaying trees, the starlight sprinkled through the gaps. Pei Yuqing was still in the same position as when Lin Yan had left. He stood there quietly, holding a cigarette between his fingers. He hadn't even taken a puff, so the faint smoke lingered around his fingertips. Although he still had that cold and indifferent expression on his face, the intermittent sound of the watch on his wrist revealed the true emotions of the owner. Pei Nanshu, who was standing a few steps behind her, was worried. He was accompanying her. The night breeze was chilly, so Pei Nanshu glanced at his big brother. He was still worried about his health, so he reminded him, brother, let's go back. It's cold outside. Pei Yuqing nodded slightly and tossed the cigarette in his hand. He crushed it and turned to walk into the room. Just as they were about to enter the villa, they heard the sound of a bicycle engine. Pei Nanshu turned around and stared at Pei Yutong in surprise. Yutong? Pei Yutong and Lin Yan got out of the car at the same time. Why are you back? Pei Nanshu asked instinctively. Pei Yutong scratched his head. I don't know. Big sister-in-law asked me to come back. Pei Yuqing turned to look at Lin Yan. His expression didn't change as he asked, did you leave something behind? Lin Yan strode over to the man and raised her head to look at him. Yeah, what is it? I'll help you look for it, said Pei Yuqing. Just as he was about to turn around, his hand was suddenly grabbed by a soft little hand. Then he looked into a pair of eyes that were as bright as stars. Then he heard the girl mumble, no, I didn't leave anything behind. It's you. Pei Yuqing was speechless. Pei Nanshu was speechless. Pei Yutong was speechless. Pei Yuqing seemed to be in a daze. Lin Yan, who had always been polite and respectful to him, had suddenly said something like that to him. He was momentarily speechless. Lin Yan's face heated up when she met the man's startled gaze. She gathered her courage and said, didn't you say that you would reward me because I won? And you said I can have anything I want? Pei Yuqing replied, yes. Oh, then I want to stay with you. Is that okay? Asked Lin Yan. Pei Yuqing was speechless, Nanshu was speechless, Pei Yutong. What did he just hear? Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit IAI. Chapter 359. Pei Yuqing's eyes, which had always been calm, flashed with astonishment. Pei Nanshu and Pei Yutong hadn't expected that Lin Yan would take the initiative to show off her affection. For a moment, the three of them stood there in a daze, not saying a word. The air fell into a dead silence. Lin Yan coughed softly. Can't I? Actually, Lin Yan's thoughts were simple. She would return the favor if others were kind to her. Pei Yuqing understood and respected her racing career and her career in the entertainment industry. He even admired her. This was what touched her the most. Pei Nanshu had reduced his workload to take care of Pei Yuqing, even though he knew that he wasn't in good health. Regardless of whether this relationship was fake or fake, she was Pei Yuqing's girlfriend. She had to do something for him. When Pei Yuqing met the girl's inquisitive gaze, his eyes, which were as dark as the night, seemed to be filled with stars. He replied softly, of course. This was the first time that Lin Yan had taken the initiative to approach him. Pei Yutong stood beside the car in a daze. He felt as though he and his second brother were two bright light bulbs. Are they living together? What the? I was just complaining that big brother and big sister-in-law were progressing too slowly. Why did they suddenly speed up? Pei Yutong gasped in amazement. This speed. He's indeed my father. Pei Nanshu coughed softly. It seems like we have forgotten about another possibility. The The possibility that Lin Yan would take the initiative to approach Big Brother. Lin Yan had been too polite to Big Brother. She had even seemed afraid of him. He hadn't expected that Lin Yan would take the initiative to stay. In that case, she would be able to spend more time with Big Brother, which would be beneficial to his recovery. Pei Yutong was thrilled. Aha! I knew it. As long as big sister-in-law and Big Brother don't break up, they will get closer and closer. They will naturally be inseparable. What's there to worry about? I think it's better for my sister-in-law to say something than to be sent flying by that group of experts. Pei Nanshu smiled and didn't retort. Pei Yutong was right. It's just sad to be a single dog. Pei Yutong sighed miserably. I haven't dated in a long time because I've been focusing on my career. In the past, he was also a little white dragon who had many girlfriends. However, ever since he fell in love with racing, women were no longer interesting to him. He only wanted to date a racer. Pei Nanshu, who had never been in a relationship, coughed. She coughed softly and said, I didn't mean anything by it. Mr. Pei hasn't been feeling well recently, so I thought that we could take care of each other if we stayed together. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good if I didn't do anything when he gave up on his work and took some time out of his schedule. Pei Yuqing chuckled softly. It's fine. You can have other meanings. Lin Yan was speechless, Nanshu was speechless. For the first time, Pei Qian, who had always been doted on by everyone, felt like an extra. Chapter 360. Lin Yan hadn't thought much about it. However, when she heard him say that she could have other meanings, she couldn't help but let her imagination run wild. Come to think of it, her request could easily be misunderstood. How tragic. Would Pei Yuqing think that she had some ulterior motives? That was why she had suggested moving in with him? Heaven was her witness. She really hadn't. Her original intentions had been pure and innocent. Unfortunately, she couldn't explain herself now. Pei Yutong chimed in happily, big sister-in-law, I'll help you move now. Lin Yan stared speechlessly at Pei Yutong, who looked as though he was celebrating the new year. It's too late now. I have to go back and pack my things. Besides, a friend of mine helped me rent that apartment. I have to inform him that I'm moving out. Pei Yuqing's eyes flickered. Wang Jingyang? Lin Yan nodded, looking surprised. Yeah, Wang Jingyang. Mr. Pei, how do you know my friend's name? You've mentioned him before, Pei Yuqing replied casually. Lin Yan asked, huh? Really? She didn't remember mentioning Wang Jingyang in front of Pei Yuqing. Perhaps she had unintentionally mentioned him but had forgotten. It's only right to inform him, Pei Yuqing replied. Call me after you're done packing. I'll pick you up. Okay. Back at the apartment, Lin Yan had originally planned to look for Wang Jingyang the next morning. She hadn't expected to bump into him as she walked downstairs. Hi, doggy. Lin Yan's eyes lit up as she hurried forward. Why are you back so late? Wang Jingyang frowned as he glanced at her. Lin Yan replied, that's great. I have something to tell you. Why don't you treat me to supper? Wang Jingyang glanced at her. Why should I treat you to supper? Lin Yan raised an eyebrow and replied nonchalantly, I won today's competition. Aren't you going to celebrate it for me? Wang Jingyang rolled his eyes at her. Forget it. If I have to treat you to a meal every time I win a match, I'll go bankrupt. Besides, you want me to treat you to a meal for such a small competition? Aren't you embarrassed? Wang Jingyang knew that Lin Yan was going to help the He family with the competition. However, he didn't need to guess to know what would happen. He didn't pay much attention to her, nor was he interested in watching her beat up the weaklings. You haven't answered me yet. Why did you come back so late? Wang Jingyang asked. Lin Yan's eyes darted around guiltily. Why can't I come back so late? Aren't you unemployed recently? The competition should have ended a long time ago. You don't have any friends in the country, so why did you come back so late? Wang Jingyang asked. Lin Yan was rendered speechless. Was there a need to be so hurtful? Lin Yan rolled her eyes and retorted, I don't have many friends in the country, but can't I have a boyfriend? For a moment, Wang Jingyang thought he had misheard. What did you say? What do you have? Boyfriend? Did you drink too much again? Wang Jingyang looked disgusted. Lin Yan replied, I didn't drink much. I really have a boyfriend. Initially, Lin Yan had thought that Pei Yuqing wouldn't be in a relationship for long, so she hadn't planned on telling Wang Jingyang about it. However, based on the current situation, they wouldn't be breaking up anytime soon. After all, Wang Jingyang was her brother, so there was no need to hide it from him. Wang Jingyang was speechless. Yes. You have a boyfriend. Are you going to tell me that your boyfriend is Pei Nanshu? Girls usually treated their idols as their boyfriends and husbands. Lin Yan had often praised Pei Nanshu's handsome boyfriend in front of his posters, so Wang Jingyang was used to it. Lin Yan replied, although he isn't Pei Nanshu, he does have something to do with him. Wang Jingyang noticed the seriousness on Lin Yan's face. She didn't look like she was joking. His eyes narrowed. Really? Who is it? Lin Yan replied, Pei Nanshu's older brother, Pei Yuqing. Wang Jingyang was speechless. Chapter 361. The corners of Wang Jingyang's mouth twitched as he snapped back to reality. Women are fickle creatures. Didn't you say that Pei Nanshu would never be a fan? Would he never be a fan? What's wrong? You've changed your wall now? Wang Jingyang didn't take it seriously. He assumed that Lin Yan had simply changed her idol. After all, they lived so close to each other. He was well aware of Lin Yan's daily activities. How could he not know that she had gotten a boyfriend right under his nose? He had known Lin Yan for years, so how could he not know her? As long as she had made a decision, she would never change her mind. Previously, she had said that she wanted to focus on her work. There was no way she would start a relationship now. Besides, she had just gotten into a fight with Han Yishuan. How could she get a new boyfriend so soon? Furthermore, her boyfriend was a man who would never have anything to do with her. Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan looked helpless and aggrieved. Why didn't anyone believe her nowadays? Lin Yan replied, I'm not changing my boyfriend. I can change my boyfriend. However, I will never change my boyfriend. I really have a boyfriend. Why don't you believe me? Wang Jingyang replied, Why would I believe you? Lin Yan was speechless. That was right. She must have seen a ghost. That was why she had gotten a boyfriend. You want me to believe that the boss of JM Corporation is a blind man? Do you think that's possible? Wang Jingyang glanced at her. Lin Yan narrowed her eyes. What the hell? Say that again. Wang Jingyang shuddered in fear as he stumbled backward. What I mean is, you have a lot of inner qualities. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to appreciate it. They would only be able to see the surface. Only someone like me who has inner qualities and isn't superficial. Wang Jingyang muttered softly to himself. Lin Yan inhaled deeply. She couldn't be bothered to explain anymore. The reason why she didn't tell Wang Jingyang before was that she had already expected this to be the sender. Well, not to mention Wang Jingyang, even if she was in his shoes, she wouldn't believe it either. Anyway, she had already said what she needed to say. When the time came, Wang Jingyang could not blame her for not being loyal to her brother and purposely hiding it from him. By the way, you just said that you have something to tell me. What is it? Wang Jingyang asked. Lin Yan replied, I wanted to tell you that I'm moving to my boyfriend's place. Wang Jingyang, wake up, brother. Have you really gone crazy from chasing stars? Lin Yan was speechless. You're the silly one. Anyway, I'm going to move, replied Lin Yan. Wang Jingyang was a little surprised. He frowned and asked, Where are you moving to? Didn't you just rent this house for a few months? Lin Yan mulled it over. Since you don't believe that I'm moving to my boyfriend's place, you can assume that I'm moving to the company's dormitory. Pei Yuqing was her boss, so it wouldn't be a problem if he said that it was the company's dormitory. With your current performance, it would be good enough if the company didn't kick you out. Why would they arrange a dormitory for you? Wang Jingyang said in disbelief. Lin Yan snorted coldly. Can't I jump ship? The new company has arranged a huge villa for me. Wang Jingyang's face darkened when he heard Lin Yan's words. Forgive me for reminding you. Don't forget that you have already paid a year's rent. If you break the contract now, you won't be able to get a refund. Lin Yan was stunned when she heard him. Her heart ached. No way, I'll update 2 chapters first. I'll update more later. It's so lonely not seeing your comments. I don't have the energy to write anymore. Chapter 362. Lin Yan suddenly recalled that there had been such a clause in the contract. If she broke the contract, she wouldn't be able to rent it out. Wang Jingyang studied Lin Yan's pained expression and coughed softly. Anyway, you've already paid. Why don't you move to the company's dormitory when the contract expires? She had already promised Pei Yuqing, so she couldn't go back on her word now. In the end, Lin Yan could only grit her teeth and say, Fine. At most, I'll just leave the apartment there. Wang Jingyang was shocked when he heard her. He knew how stingy Lin Yan was. He hadn't expected that she would insist on moving out even if she didn't refund the rent. Which company did you jump to? Why are you making such a huge sacrifice? Wang Jingyang had assumed that Lin Yan would have joined a mediocre management company. He couldn't help but feel curious now. I haven't signed the contract yet. I'll discuss it with Sister Ling tomorrow and let you know. Lin Yin replied perfunctorily. If she had told him that she had signed with Summit Entertainment, Wang Jingyang wouldn't have believed her and would have questioned her again. After she returned to her apartment, Lin Yin tidied up her things. She didn't have many things, so she only needed a suitcase and a big bag. Once she was done packing, she could move out the next day. Lin Yin wandered around to see if she had left anything behind. Oh yeah, she had almost forgotten something important. Lin Yin rummaged under her pillow and found a garlic, an 8-trigram mirror, and a bunch of talismans. She had bought a lot of things last time, but Wang Jingyang had told her that she had asked him to throw them away. She had bought more and hidden them under her pillow. Although they didn't seem to be of much use, it was obvious that she hadn't completed the last scene with Pei Nanshu on the day of the completion of filming. However, she hadn't caused any trouble for her. Instead, she had helped her a lot. Had she finally gotten what she wanted? Had she won Pei Yuqing's heart? At this thought, Lin Yin suddenly recalled something. She had been worried that her other consciousness would do something to other male celebrities when she had lost consciousness. In the end, she had only done indescribable things to Pei Yuqing. So the other consciousness in her body had been after Pei Yuqing? Oh my god. If she stayed with Pei Yuqing now, wouldn't she be sending Pei Yuqing to the tiger's den? Lin Yin clutched the garlic in her hand as her face turned pale. No, she had to think of a way to protect Pei Yuqing. She couldn't let this happen. The next day, Lin Yin went to Star Entertainment to talk to Zhao Hongling about her plans and the matter of signing with Summit Entertainment. When he arrived at the company and walked to Zhao Hongling's office, he saw many people surrounding the door, pointing and gossiping. There were also many employees moving things in and out of the building. Lin Yin glanced at them and noticed that they were moving Zhao Hongling's belongings. Zhao Hongling coldly watched from the side, while Toto angrily and anxiously tried to stop those people. Stop. Stop moving. Manager Gao. What do you mean by that? What right do you have to occupy Sister Ling's office? A well-dressed middle-aged man sat in the seat that had belonged to Zhao Hongling with a smug look on his face. What do you mean? What do you mean? If you can't meet the sales target, you will be fired from your position. This office should belong to someone with ability. Chapter 363. At this moment, a gorgeous young girl who was dressed fashionably next to Gao Jiwei glanced in Zhao Hongling's direction and sneered. Director Zhao said that she would resign from the position of director if she couldn't meet the sales target. But the deadline hasn't arrived yet. Duo gritted her teeth as she retorted. Although it was impossible for them to complete the contract, they were only delaying the deadline by 3 months. Why were they so impatient? At this moment, the other artistes who were watching from the side said, "There's only less than a week left. And you're still hoping to surpass Brother Wei's performance this quarter in such a short time? Dream on." Yeah. Chanshan's resources have been going through the roof these few months. 2 blockbuster movies are about to be released, and a drama with a female lead is about to start filming. She has even signed a contract to be the spokesperson for CA. How can you compete with her? Don't tell me it's to use that dog skin plaster that's been scolded so badly that he doesn't even dare to come out? Ha ha ha. That bullsh *T plaster. Even if Zhao Hongling makes use of the entire entertainment industry, she won't be able to catch up to Chanshan. Don't insult Chanshan. Exactly. The only movie that is about to be released is a supporting actress. She has already been scolded by the netizens. Jiang Sifei's acting will definitely be a joke. I heard that she has even embarrassed herself in the racing industry. Gao Jiwei used to be Zhao Hongling's manager. Unlike Zhao Hongling, who focused on results, Gao Jiwei loved to build relationships. And Chanshan was one of Gao Jiwei's actresses. She was pretty, but there were too many good-looking actresses in the entertainment industry. She didn't have any special talents, so she had always been mediocre. However, Gao Jiwei had recently found an impressive boss for Chanshan. Hence, Chanshan's career had taken off in an instant. Her resources had exploded, and she had broken Star Entertainment's sales record. Even Zhao Hongling, who had managed Liang Sifei, wouldn't be able to catch up to her. In the company, whoever had the highest performance would be able to do whatever they wanted. Gao Jiwei was riding on the crest of success, so he had already assumed that the position of director was in his bag. Why would he place Zhao Hongling there? As for the other employees, they all joined Gao Jiwei's side when they saw that Zhao Hongling had lost her power and would never be able to rise again. No matter what, it's not time yet and Sister Ling is still the director. You don't have the right to do this. Duo said as he suppressed his anger. Gao Jiwei smiled. Oh, it's not time yet. It's not time yet, but I'm going to kick you out. What can you do to me? Go complain to the boss if you have the guts. Why don't you try and see if he ignores you? And Qian folded her arms across her chest and snorted softly. You have fallen so low as to rely on a trashy artist like Lin Yan to make a comeback. Do you still think that you're the director of the talent department who managed the award-winning actress? Now that Qian had found a rich man, she was even more unscrupulous. She waved her slender fingers and ordered, "Don't worry about them. Continue moving. All right, vacate the lounge on the 3rd floor as well. No one is allowed to use it except for me." Duodwa's face darkened. Sister Ling had paid for the renovation of the lounge on the 3rd floor so that Jiang Xifei could have a safe place to rest when she returned to the company. How could they be so greedy? Chapter 364. The moment Qian spoke, the staff shoved Duo away rudely and continued moving. They had heard that Qian had found a powerful backer this time. Even the boss of Star Entertainment didn't dare provoke her. He treated her like a deity and worshipped her. Qian only wanted an office and a resting area, so it was a piece of cake. After that, Qian slowly walked to a row of bookshelves. Her eyes fell on a crystal trophy. She reached out and picked it up. Oh, where is Liang Xifei's Best Supporting Actress trophy? This was the first time Liang Xifei had won an award. Although it was just a Best Supporting Actress trophy, it was Zhao Hongling's most treasured trophy. It was this trophy that had given her hope during her darkest and most difficult moments. She had been tempted to give up several times, but it had allowed her to persevere on her path. In the end, she had led Jiang Xifei all the way to the title of Best Actress. Step by step, she had risen to the position of director of the talent recruitment department. She had finally found her own niche in this industry. Zhao Hongling stared at the trophy, her face crestfallen. However, just as she was about to rise to the top, Liang Xifei broke the contract and left without hesitation. All her efforts had gone to waste. In the next second he suddenly heard a clang sound. Zhao Hongling's eyes, which were as still as an ancient well, were filled with shock. She watched as the crystal trophy slipped from Qian's hands and fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. Qian? Duo screamed at the sight of the shattered trophy. "Oh, I'm so sorry. My hand slipped." Qian didn't look the least bit apologetic. "You are too much." Duodwa's eyes reddened. She knew how much Zhao Hongling valued this trophy. She wiped it carefully every morning and liked to use it when she was in a bad mood or met with difficulties. These people were simply using their power to bully others. Zhao Hongling stared at the broken pieces in a daze. She bent down slowly and touched the pieces with her fingers. The sharp fragments instantly cut through his fingertips and fresh blood flowed out. However, Zhao Hongling didn't seem to notice it. She continued to pick up the pieces. "How unlucky. This is my new office. Don't drip your blood on the floor." Gao Jiwei complained. With that, Gao Jiwei ordered someone to chase her away. "Zhao Hongling, don't stay here any longer. Get lost. Don't blame me for not being benevolent enough. From today onwards you will be my assistant. I have also reserved the storeroom on the 1st floor for you. Otherwise, with your current performance, you don't even deserve an office, understand?" The corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled up when she saw this. This Gao Jiwei had a good plan. He didn't know how to nurture new talent and only knew how to build connections. Therefore, he forced Zhao Hongling to be his assistant. When the time came, even if she made achievements, it could only be his. His mouth was still full of hypocrisy. What wishful thinking. What are you waiting for? Didn't you hear what Brother Gao said? Hurry up and move your junk to your office. One of the employees impatiently shoved a cardboard box into Toto's arms. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit IAI. Chapter 365. Qian clicked her tongue and replied nonchalantly, "Director Zhao, you have to know that you have to bear some responsibility for Liang Xifei's job hopping. You have caused such a huge loss to the company. It's already a miracle that the company hasn't chased you out. It's all thanks to Brother Gao who spoke up for you in front of the boss that you can stay and be his assistant. You have to be grateful." Gao Jiwei stroked his chin and added, "Oh yeah, other than Liang Xifei, you don't have anyone else under you. Although Lin Yan has been slandered all the time, she is still pretty. I have already spoken to the higher-ups. From today onward, Lin Yan will be under me. I will be in charge of Lin Yan's schedule and work arrangements." Zhao Hongling, who had been silent all this while, finally blurted out, "That's impossible." She knew Gao Jiwei all too well. An artist like Lin Yan would be nothing more than a chess piece in his hands. He would never sincerely support Lin Yan. He would ask Lin Yan to entertain the investors and exchange resources for the artists under him. Gao Jiwei sneered coldly. Director Zhao. Oh no. You are no longer the director. Miss Zhao, forgive me for reminding you that you have no right to decide who your artist belongs to. Gao Jiwei had just finished speaking when a girl's clear voice rang out. Thank you for your kind intentions, future director Gao. Lin Yan strode into the office and leaned over to help Zhao Hongling up. Then she smiled and said, however, I'm really sorry, Director Gao. You have no right to order me around. Gao Jiwei's face darkened when he saw that Lin Yan had rejected him. Who do you think you are? It's your honor that I'm willing to hire you. Otherwise, with your virtue, apart from having a body full of black spots, you have no education and no acting skills. How dare you reject me? Gao Jiwei paused before he added, also Lin Yan, I have no right to order you around. You have to understand the situation. I, Gao Jiwei, am in charge of this company. You have to do whatever I ask you to do. Don't push your luck. Lin Yan watched Gao Jiwei quietly without saying a word. Gao Jiwei noticed that Lin Yan wasn't responding, so he assumed that she had given in. He sounded as though he was giving her a reward. I've arranged a dinner in a few days. Remember to dress up nicely and be on time. If you mess it up, I'll make you suffer. Lin Yan waited for Gao Jiwei to finish before she replied, even if you're the boss, it wouldn't matter. I have already decided to terminate my contract with the company. From today onwards, I'm no longer a part of Star Entertainment. Gao Jiwei was taken aback. What did you say? You want to terminate the contract with the company? Given Lin Yan's current situation, she should be grateful that Star Entertainment was still willing to hire her. How dare she terminate her contract with the company? The only use of an artist who couldn't be nurtured was to curry favor with the bosses and get some resources for Qianqian. When that time came, Lin Yan would be considered a huge favor. She actually dared to terminate the contract with the company. Who gave her the courage? Where would she get the money to terminate the contract? After terminating the contract, which company would want a troublemaker like her? Chapter 366. Besides Gao Jiwei, Zhao Hongling and Duo were shocked as well. Duo tugged at Lin Yan hastily. Sister Yin, you want to terminate the contract? Are you crazy? Even though Star Entertainment was a small company, it was a shelter and Sister Ling would take care of her. Once she left Star Entertainment, she would have nowhere else to go. I didn't have any work, so I couldn't even eat. Have you forgotten? Duo reminded her anxiously. And Qianqian's expression darkened when Lin Yan rejected her. Recently, she had her eye on a good movie, but the investor was difficult to deal with. He had a perverted fetish and had ruined many actresses. She didn't want to deal with him, so she had suggested that Gao Jiwei get Lin Yan to accompany the investor. Who would have thought that Lin Yan would be so stubborn? And Qianqian sounded as though she had good intentions. She sounded a little threatening as she said, Lin Yan, this assistant is right. You have to think this through. Brother Wei is willing to hire you, bring you to dinner, and provide you with an opportunity. You should consider yourself lucky. If you miss this chance, you won't get another opportunity like this. It will be too late for regrets when you end up on the streets. Zhao Hongling frowned and strode over to Lin Yan. Lin Yan, don't worry. There's still a way out. I'll talk to boss. No matter what, I've worked for the company for so many years. Boss will give me some face. Actually, the fact that boss had allowed Gao Jiwei to do this meant that his attitude was clear. Even if Zhao Hongling had worked hard for the company for many years and created a lot of income in the eyes of the boss, she was just an abandoned pawn that could not create value for him. Lin Yan was lost in her thoughts when she heard the employees greeting her respectfully. Boss. Boss is here. Hi, boss. A man with a big belly and a beautiful assistant walked over and chided them. Why aren't all of you working properly? What are you doing? As soon as he saw the boss, Gao Jiwei immediately went up to him and said with a face full of smiles, Oh, boss, you're here. Why did you have to come over for such a small matter? I can settle it myself. And Qianqian walked to the other side of the boss and held his arm intimately. She looked aggrieved and complained in a sweet voice, Boss, you came just in time. Can you control them? Zhao Hongling has caused the company to suffer a huge loss, and Lin Yan has embarrassed the company. Brother Wei has transferred Sister Ling to be his assistant on account of her years of service in the company. He's even willing to accept Lin Yan, who is a burden. In the end, the two of them aren't grateful at all. And Qianqian looked indignant. Lin Yan just threatened to terminate the contract. Is that so? Du Pengxing, the boss of Star Entertainment, glanced at Lin Yan and Zhao Hongling. Zhao Hongling was afraid that Lin Yan would do something rash again, so she shielded Lin Yan and stepped forward. President Du, Lin Yan has been with me for a long time, so I know her well. I hope that I can continue taking care of her. As for me, I can accept being Director Gao's assistant. Du Pengxing looked displeased. To him, Zhao Hongling was supposed to listen to the company's arrangements. Her performance had already plummeted, so it was already good enough for her to be the director's assistant. How could she be wronged? How could she use this to negotiate with him? Chapter 367. Du Pengxing's attitude turned colder. You will be transferred to Director Gao's assistant. Director Gao has already informed me that Lin Yan will be taking over. I have already approved it, so there's no need to discuss it further. From today onwards, you will be Director Gao's assistant. As for Lin Yan, she will follow Director Gao from now on. She will have to listen to Director Gao's instructions obediently. Zhao Hongling, who hadn't expected Du Pengxing to be so ruthless, turned pale. President Du Pengxing, who was getting impatient, interrupted her sternly. Zhao Hongling, you've created such a huge mess this time. I'm already being considerate by allowing you to stay in the company. Don't push your luck. Lin Yan chuckled softly as she replied, President Du, Star Entertainment was just a small, unknown company back then. We were on the verge of collapsing several times. All the managers had left the company, and Sister Ling was the only one left. During the company's most difficult times, Sister Ling stayed by our side. She was also the one who groomed Jiang Xifei and made the company famous. That was how the company got on the right track. Are you trying to get rid of her now that she's no longer of use? Du Pengxing flew into a rage when he heard Lin Yan. Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like that? Gao Jiwei and Yin Qianqian gloated at Lin Yan's infuriation. Gao Jiwei quickly took the opportunity to comfort Du Pengxing. Boss, don't stoop to their level. What do you mean by it was Zhao Hongling who made a name for the company? It was you who had a good eye for talent and outstanding methods. Yin Qianqian glanced at Lin Yan in disdain. Zhao Hongling is merely basking in the company's glory. Do you really think that Star Entertainment can't survive without Zhao Hongling? Lin Yan, don't be so ungrateful. Brother Wei is the director of the talent department. Many people want to follow him, but they can't. How dare you be so picky? Do you really think that you're Han Yishuan's girlfriend? Or do you think that he will fall for you? What a joke. Du Pengxing felt much better when he heard her. Qianqian, stop talking to them. Either you listen to the company's arrangements or you get lost. Zhao Hongling still had some nostalgia for the company, but now that she heard this, she was completely disappointed. Du Pengxing, I will only give you 1 day to think about it. Think about it carefully. Lin Yan grinned and replied casually, there's no need to think about it. I want to terminate the contract. Sai, it feels good to have a big shot supporting you. In any case, she had already signed the contract with Summit Entertainment. She had no qualms about terminating the contract now. Du Pengxing, Gao Jiwei, and Yin Qianqian's faces darkened when they heard her. Lin Yan, don't be so shameless. Gao Jiwei hissed coldly. If it weren't for her looks, he wouldn't have wanted her. How dare she refuse to give him face? Zhao Hongling hesitated to speak. In the end, she didn't stop Lin Yan. She couldn't even protect herself now, let alone her boss. Even if Lin Yan stayed on planet Qi, she wouldn't be able to protect her. Plenty seemed to have thought of this as well, so he didn't say anything else. However, terminating the contract. The penalty for terminating the contract wouldn't be a small sum either. Zhao Hongling was worried, so Lin Yan couldn't be bothered to waste her breath on Slaughter's Gate. She waved her hand and pulled Zhao Hongling and Duo away. Sister Ling, don't worry. Even if the sky falls, you'll still have me. Also, where's the big shot? For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 368. Zhao Hongling, Duo, and Lin Yan packed their things and left the office. And Qianqian watched them leave and leaned over to Gao Jiwei's ear. She whispered, Brother Wei, how dare Lin Yan threaten to terminate her contract with the company? Could Zhao Hongling have helped her find another company? Otherwise, why would she be so arrogant? If that's the case, what will happen to the banquet? And Qianqian sounded worried. Gao Jiwei chuckled softly. Qianqian, you're really naive. Without Jiang Xifei, Zhao Hongling would be like a tiger without its fangs. She would be useless. How could she help Lin Yan find another job? As for Lin Yan, she has offended Triumph Entertainment. Which company or manager would dare to hire her? Lin Shuya would definitely wish for her to suffer. Lin Yan would never be able to make it big in this lifetime. And Qian nodded happily. Brother Wei, you're so smart. I'm lucky that I chose you. If I had followed Zhao Hongling, I wouldn't have been able to make it big. Gao Jiwei replied smugly, it's good that you know that. As long as you listen to me, you will become the top girl of Star Entertainment. In the future, you will be the top girl of the entire entertainment industry. You should just wait and see. Lin Yan will come crying to me when the time comes. Meanwhile, Lin Yan and Duo had arrived at Zhao Hongling's place. On the way back, Toto didn't say a word. Instead, he sat down on the sofa with a gloomy expression. Sister Ling, what should we do now? President Du doesn't care about our relationship at all. He only listens to Gao Jiwei and Qian. Gao Jiwei doesn't know anything about business and he only knows how to pull strings. How dare he ask you to be his assistant? How can he be so shameless? The more Duo thought about it, the angrier she felt for Zhao Hongling. Zhao Hongling sighed heavily. If you don't agree to his conditions, you will have to leave the company. Lin Yan glanced at Zhao Hongling and tried to sound her out. Sister Ling, I wanted to say this earlier. Given your abilities, you can go anywhere you want. Why do you insist on staying at Star Entertainment? It's a waste of your talent. As Lin Yan spoke, she pondered how she should tell Zhao Hongling about Summit Entertainment. Zhao Hongling chuckled bitterly. Lin Yan, some things aren't that simple. From Zhao Hongling's tone, there seemed to be something else she was hiding. Duo glanced at Lin Yan and explained, Sister Yan, you haven't been with the company for long, so there are some things that you might not be aware of. Du Pengxing is a despicable man. Anyone who has left Planet Chi, be it an artist or a manager, will be vilified by him. Other companies didn't dare to accept it. Jiang Sifei, who had been poached by Triumph Entertainment, was an exception. She has a backer, so Du Pengxing won't dare to mess with her. Duo added, of course you don't have to worry about your dark skin. I'm just afraid that Sister Ling and the rest won't let you off. Lin Yan was speechless. Why couldn't he be sarcastic now? Yeah, that makes sense. In that case, I don't have to be afraid of them, replied Lin Yan. Zhao Hongling shook her head and replied, Lin Yan, it won't be easy to terminate the contract even if you manage to raise enough money. Gao Jiwei will definitely hold on to your contract and won't let it go. Once he goes to court, it will take months or years. You won't be able to take on any jobs during this period. You will be crippled. Chapter 369. Zhao Hongling and Duo fell silent at this point. They were in a terrible situation. It was as though they had fallen into a hopeless situation. Zhao Hongling glanced at Duo, who knew what she wanted to say. Before she could speak, Duo interrupted her. Sister Ling, don't try to persuade me. I've said that I will go wherever you go. You will stay in Planet Venus and I will stay in Planet Venus. If you leave, I will leave with you. Even if it's a small company, I will follow you. Zhao Hongling sighed helplessly. She didn't know what to say. Lin Yan rubbed her chin as she glanced at Zhao Hongling and Duo. Sister Ling, Duo. There's something I'd like to ask your opinion on. Duo glanced at Lin Yan. What is it? Zhao Hongling replied, Speak. Lin Yan coughed softly. After I terminate my contract with Star Entertainment, I plan to go to Summit Entertainment. Are you guys willing to go with me? Zhao Hongling was speechless. Duo was speechless. For a moment the air fell into a strange silence. Duo coughed violently after some time. Sister Yan, have you lost your mind? Lin Yan, who had expected Duo to react this way, replied helplessly, No, I'm serious. Actually, I came to the company today to talk to you about this. The corners of Duo's mouth twitched. Sister Yan, I'm not trying to nag you, but there has to be a limit. Do you know what kind of company Summit Entertainment is? Do you know what kind of artists are able to join Summit Entertainment? Jiang Sifei is so impressive, yet she could only join House of Millions Media, a subsidiary of Triumph Entertainment. She can't even hold a candle to Summit Entertainment. Lin Yan stroked her chin. Is it that impressive? Of course. Summit Entertainment isn't an ordinary management company. It's backed by JM Corporation. It's the Pei family. That's the agency of your idol, Pei Nanshu, who's a top-notch artist. It's the top company in the industry. It's filled with experts. More than half of the top celebrities in the entertainment industry come from Summit Entertainment. It's the only management company in the entertainment industry that's more powerful than Triumph Entertainment. Pei Yuqing is the tycoon in the business world. He's the boss of all the female fans in the entertainment industry. You should know him, right? He was the boss of Summit Entertainment. She has the most impressive backing in the entertainment industry. Duo rattled on. Lin Yan nodded as she listened to Duo praise Pei Yuqing. For some reason she felt honored. I know Pei Yuqing. How could she not know her boyfriend? Lin Yan asked, so, are you guys coming with me or not? Sister Yin, I'm afraid you've gone completely crazy. Duo looked exhausted, as though she didn't want to talk to her anymore. Sister Ling, please persuade her. Advise her to get over it and not be so unrealistic. How dare he dream of joining Summit Entertainment? This is insane. Lin Yin stroked her chin and raised an eyebrow. What if I really managed to join Summit Entertainment? Duo rolled her eyes at her. I've said it before. If you can achieve the highest sales performance within 3 months, I'll serve you tea. If you join Summit Entertainment, I'll even call you Grandma. Lin Yin nodded. Oh, I see. I didn't expect to have a granddaughter at such a young age. Lin Yin retrieved a contract from her tattered bag and placed it on the coffee table in front of Duo and Zhao Hongling. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit IAI. Chapter 370. On the cover of the contract, there was a line that read, Summit Entertainment Artist Contract Party A. Summit Entertainment Party B. Lin Yin. Duo froze for a few seconds before she picked up the contract. Although she didn't really understand it, she could still understand the terms Party A and Party B in the contract. Sister Ling, take a look at this contract. Duo hurriedly passed the contract to Zhao Hongling. Zhao Hongling read it carefully and realized that it was indeed a contract with Summit Entertainment. Sister Yin, did you forge this contract? Duo couldn't believe that Summit Entertainment would sign Lin Yan. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. What would I gain from forging this contract? Duo pondered for a moment and realized that Lin Yan didn't have to do something so meaningless. So, could this contract really be real? Lin Yan retrieved another 2 contracts from her bag. Sister Ling, this is your management contract and Duo's assistant contract. Duo read the 2 contracts and exchanged a look with Zhao Hongling. Both of them looked incredulous. It was as if a pie had fallen from the sky. Why did he feel dizzy? Lin Yan, what is going on? Asked Zhao Hongling. She couldn't figure out how Lin Yan had managed to get a contract with Summit Entertainment. She had even managed to get a contract with Duo. Summit Entertainment was famous for its strict standards. They wouldn't poach any artists unless they were A-list artists. Their talent and qualifications were extremely high, and it was the same for their managers. Although she had managed Jiang Xifei, the award-winning actress in Star Entertainment, she was qualified to be the director of the talent recruitment department. In Summit Entertainment there were many managers like her. Naturally, Lin Yan couldn't tell the truth. It wasn't that she didn't trust Sister Ling and Duo. It was just that the fewer people who knew about her relationship with Pei Yuqing, the better. Hence, Lin Yan deliberated over her words before she said, actually, I'm quite surprised. Summit Entertainment must have taken a liking to me because of my potential. They must have thought that I would be a hit. Lin Yan's story became smoother and smoother as she exclaimed, I never expected that there would be such an astute company nowadays. Duo's face darkened as she listened to Lin Yan's boast. She blurted out, is there something wrong with Summit Entertainment's head? Sister Yan's potential? Lin Yan shook the contract in her hand. I'm giving you another chance to rephrase your words. Duo was speechless. Who in Summit Entertainment would be so stupid as to see your potential? Lin Yan nodded in satisfaction. Good granddaughter. Zhao Hongling was about to speak when a few work emails popped up in her inbox. What happened, Sister Ling? Duo asked. Zhao Hongling stared at the email in her inbox and replied in a daze, I've been fired and Lin Yan's contract has been terminated. Plenty was about to explode from anger. These people are truly cruel and unscrupulous. What right did they have to chase Sister Ling away? And that Gao Jiwei, who does she think she is? She's just a vile person intoxicated by success. Previously, when he was working for Sister Ling, he had addressed her as his sister. Now he had the cheek to ask Sister Ling to be his assistant. He even spoke as if it was a great gift. If she didn't agree, he would chase her out of the company. How much effort has Sister Ling put into this company? Zhao Hongling looked at the mailbox and let out a long sigh. The last bit of nostalgia in her heart had finally disappeared. Chapter 371. Lin Yan chuckled softly. Baby Duo, calm down. We already knew this would happen, didn't we? Right now, Gao Jiwei was trying to intimidate us. He was waiting for us to go back to them after our heads were bruised and bleeding. Then we would obediently let them squeeze us dry. It's a pity? Lin Yan shook her head and quipped, it's a pity that they didn't expect our new boss to be so blind. Our new boss has such a powerful backing. Duo was speechless. There was nothing wrong with that. This new boss wasn't just powerful. She wouldn't have dared to dream of it even if she burned incense for 8 lifetimes. Lin Yan glanced at the two of them and said, Sister Ling, Duo, if you agree, please sign the contract. Once you sign it, the contract will take effect. Zhao Hongling and Duo exchanged a glance. Out of caution, Zhao Hongling asked, who is the person who asked you to sign the contract? He seems to have a lot of authority. Otherwise, he wouldn't have agreed to sign the contract with me and give you the freedom to choose your own assistant. Hence, she mentioned the name of the person in charge of the talent recruitment department of Summit Entertainment. It's Qi Sheng from Team 3. Summit Entertainment's talent recruitment department was divided into several teams, and the competition between each team was intense. Qi Sheng was the leader of Team 3. Zhao Hongling heaved a sigh of relief when she heard this name. Oh, it's him. I've heard of him in the industry. He has an eclectic style and likes to sign unique artists. Although his performance in Summit Entertainment isn't impressive, he is a decent person. There shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. Sister Ling, if you say there won't be a problem, then there won't be a problem. Zhao Hongling glanced at Lin Yan helplessly. Leave the contract with me. I will read it carefully and sign it after I'm sure there won't be a problem. Lin Yan replied, all right. Thank you, Sister Ling. Oh yeah, you have to keep this a secret. Don't tell anyone you don't trust. This isn't a small matter and I'm afraid it will cause a commotion. I'm sure Summit Entertainment has its own plans for the official announcement. We'll arrange a time to discuss it with Leader Qi after I read the contract, Zhao Hongling said. Alright, I got it. No problem. Thank you, Sister Ling. Zhao Hongling held the 3-point contract with an indescribable feeling in her heart. You've finally come out on top. Although you'll face greater challenges in the future, this is also your greatest opportunity. At the same time, it was hers. In fact, many companies had offered to poach her. Although they weren't comparable to Summit Entertainment, they were much better than Star Entertainment. However, she had never thought of leaving. He didn't expect that he would leave in such a way. Zhao Hongling paused and said, also thank you. Thank you for trusting me. Lin Yan, who wasn't used to Zhao Hongling's seriousness, grinned and replied, Sister Ling, what are you talking about? I've caused you so much trouble, but you've never given up on me. No matter where I go, you'll always be my manager. Duoduo's expression changed slightly as she muttered under her breath, I didn't expect you to be so loyal. Forget it. I seem to have misunderstood you in the past. Let me apologize. Thank you for letting me be your assistant and allowing me to continue working for you. I will do my best in the future. Even if you don't get first place in sales, I will take care of you like an ancestor. Thank you so much. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit IAI. Chapter 372. After settling the matters at Star Entertainment, Lin Yan hurried back to her apartment. She had just reached her apartment building when she saw a car parked outside. Pei Yutong opened the door and got out of the car. Big sister-in-law, you're finally back. Have you settled the matter? Lin Yan snapped her fingers. It's done. I've been fired. Pei Yutong muttered under his breath, this is the first time I've seen someone so happy after being fired. Lin Yan replied smugly, haven't you heard of this saying? If you can't forget your old lover, it means that your new one isn't good enough. Pei Yutong was speechless. Ha! Lin Yan heard a familiar chuckle behind her. She turned around and saw Pei Yuqing getting out of the car. She looked embarrassed. Ahem. Mr. Pei, why are you here? Today, Pei Yuqing was wearing a white shirt and a thin, light gray woolen sweater. He was also wearing a black trench coat that revealed the outline of his slender neck. He looked elegant and alluring. It seems like Miss Lin is satisfied with your new lover. The man chuckled softly. Lin Yan hadn't expected to be caught red-handed. She braced herself and said, I'm satisfied. Of course I'm satisfied. I can't be more satisfied. Pei Yutong, who had been the third wheel, was speechless. Oh yeah, third young master, why did you ask Mr. Pei to come? How could she trouble Mr. Pei to do such a heavy and tiring job? Mr. Pei is so weak now. Lin Yan grumbled. Pei Yutong looked aggrieved when he heard that. So, he could do it? His brother was weak? His brother's combat power was so terrifying that it was terrifying, okay? Forget it, forget it. He was the one who said it in the first place. What else could he do? He could only swallow his tears. No matter what, he had to help his brother maintain this weak persona. Pei Yuqing studied the girl's worried expression and reached out to stroke her head gently. It's okay. Yutong will be in charge of moving. I'll be in charge of picking you up. The man's deep, gentle voice rang in her ears. Lin Yin clutched her heart as he teased her again. No matter how many times he teased her, she felt like an 18-year-old girl being teased for the first time. Pei Yutong, who had fallen silent for the third time, was speechless. Pei Yutong glanced at the two of them and couldn't help but say, although I'm happy to eat your dog food, it doesn't mean that you can slaughter dogs. The three of them went upstairs to Lin Yan's apartment. She had packed most of her belongings the night before, so she checked them again to make sure that she hadn't missed anything. Pei Yuqing stood in the middle of the living room and surveyed the familiar yet unfamiliar room. His eyes darted to the lamp on which Lin Yan had once pasted a note on. The corners of his mouth curled up subtly. The note on the lamp was still stuck on it. Do you still want this lamp, sister-in-law? Pei Yutong said as he tidied up the table. Hey, why is there such a big piece of paper on the lamp? Big sister-in-law, what are you writing? Don't go near Pei. Lin Yan, who was busy tidying up the table, paled when she heard him. She darted forward and shoved the lamp, along with the note, into the bin. I don't want it anymore. Throw them all away. Okay. Pei Yutong continued to tidy up. He picked up a bag and glanced at the contents. Big sister-in-law, why is there a string of garlic inside? What do you want it for? Chapter 373. Lin Yin shoved the food back into the bag. Can't I keep it for myself? Pei Yutong's expression was indescribable. However, based on big sister-in-law's principle, what's right is right and what's wrong is right. In short, big sister-in-law is never wrong. Pei Yutong immediately said, I see. Garlic is good. Garlic kills bacteria, prevents cancer and lowers blood fats and cholesterol. Big sister-in-law, you're really healthy. Lin Yin coughed. Ahem. That's right. Lin Yin heaved a sigh of relief. Before she could finish her sentence, she heard a loud crash. The 8 trigrams mirror, talismans, peachwood swords, and all sorts of other items fell out of the bag. Lin Yin was speechless. Pei Yutong was speechless. Pei Yuqing was speechless. He remembered that he had thrown these things away previously. Pei Yutong picked them up curiously. 8 trigrams mirror, talismans, and this sword. Big sister-in-law? What are these for? Pei Yutong hadn't expected to find anything that belonged to a girl in Lin Yan's apartment. Instead, there were so many strange and bizarre things. Lin Yan was exasperated as she stole a glance at Pei Yuqing. As she tidied up, she said solemnly, Ahem. Decorations. Don't you think that's classy? Anyway, you have to be careful when you move them. Don't break them. Pei Yutong blinked in confusion. Decorations? Lin Yan chuckled dryly and nodded. Actually, she thought that it was ridiculous. She was just about to explain herself when Pei Yutong's eyes sparkled as he caressed the items. He exclaimed in an exaggerated tone, Big sister-in-law, you have a unique taste indeed. Even the decorations in your apartment are so unique. You're like a fresh breeze in the entertainment industry. You're indeed my big sister-in-law. Big sister-in-law, where did you buy these things? Send me the link. I want to decorate my apartment. I want to keep up with my big sister-in-law's taste. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched when she heard Pei Yutong's eloquent speech. Her jaw almost dropped. Young man, are you serious? Pei Yutong's eyes were filled with admiration and excitement. He sounded sincere and didn't seem like he was joking. Pei Yutong replied, Big sister-in-law, remember to send me the link. Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan glanced awkwardly at Pei Yuqing. Pei Yuqing put down the mirror and chuckled softly. It's special? Lin Yan was at a loss for words. Did the people of the Pei family have such a weird sense of beauty? Was there something wrong with her taste? Sister-in-law, is there anything else that needs to be moved? There are some in the bedroom. All right. Lin Yan poured him a glass of water and said, Mr. Pei, please wait here for a while. I don't have many things. I'll be done soon. Pei Yuqing replied, all right. Lin Yan followed him into the bedroom. The moment she stepped in, she saw Pei Yutong staring at her with a complicated expression on his face. Lin Yan was perplexed. What was wrong now? What's wrong? Asked Lin Yan. Pei Yutong turned his head and glanced at the wall opposite the door. He pointed at it and asked meekly, is this also a decoration? Lin Yan followed Pei Yutong's gaze and saw the huge poster of Pei Nanshu. Chapter 374. This time Pei Yutong stared at the poster. He didn't have the guts to say, "Big sister-in-law, you have great taste." She hadn't dared to show the poster that Pei Yutong had given her. She had kept it in her drawer. Lin Yan had bought the poster when she had first fallen into the trap. It had been stuck on her bed all this time, so she had completely forgotten about it. Pei Yutong gazed at Lin Yan in horror. "Big sister-in-law, did you suddenly ask to move to my big brother's place because of second brother? Is it because second brother is staying with big brother?" Lin Yan was even more terrified now. "Young man, this is a dangerous thought. What nonsense is going on in that head of yours? How many times have I told you that second brother and I are just fans and idols? Besides, before I met your big brother, he didn't even know who I was." Lin Yan retorted in exasperation. Pei Yutong was lost in his own thoughts. If they were to fight, should he side with big brother or second brother? "Anyway, big sister-in-law, you have to stand firm. Otherwise both second brother and I will die. Even if you don't care about my life, you have to care about second brother's life." The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. I know. Your big brother's casual smile can mesmerize me. How can I be in the mood to think about other things? Stop imagining things. Hurry up and help me remove the poster." Pei Yutong felt a little more at ease when he heard her. He was tall, so he began to remove the poster in a flurry. "Be careful. Don't tear it." Although this poster was printed and only cost 10 yuan, it was the first poster she had ever bought. She had already started to like Pei Nanshu when they were in school. At the time she had been like many carefree young girls. She had liked pretty dresses, shiny hair clips, and idol-chasing celebrities. However, later on, to her, Pei Nanshu was like the time when she had been forced to end her youth. Although it had been a short time, it had been the most beautiful and pure experience she had ever had. I know. I definitely won't let you tear it." Pei Yutong replied as he removed the poster. Lin Yan stood there staring at him. Suddenly she heard footsteps behind her. "Do you need help?" Lin Yan was speechless. Pei Yutong was speechless. Pei Yutong's hands trembled in fright, and he tore a huge hole in the poster. Lin Yan stared at the gaping wound and clutched her chest. She almost vomited blood. But at this time, how could she care about the poster? What to do? Why was her life either turning upside down or on the way to turning upside down? Pei Nanshu's poster had been one of the reasons Pei Yuqing had lost his temper. "Dad, you have to think of a way." Pei Yutong opened his arms and tried to use his body to block the poster. At the same time, Pei Yuqing strode over. At the last moment, Lin Yan spun around and lunged at Pei Yuqing, causing him to stumble backward. She stood on her tiptoes and closed her eyes. She steeled her heart and kissed him on the lips. For a better reading experience, please visit the Love website. Chapter 375. Pei Yutong gasped in amazement as he watched. How could it be done like that? After a moment's hesitation, Pei Yutong seized the opportunity to tear down all the posters. He rolled them up and stuffed them into the box. Then he slammed the box shut and locked it. They were safe now. Pei Yuqing's eyes darted to the girl from the corner of his eyes. His eyes darkened instantly. He could smell the refreshing scent of the girl's shower gel and her unique fragrance. This was the first time the girl had taken the initiative to approach him, although her reason for doing so did not make him feel good, but it was already offset. Lin Yan wasn't sure if Pei Yuqing had seen the poster or not. After kissing him, she said naturally, "Ahem. I'm sorry. I thought that I would have more time to spend with you in the future, so I was overjoyed." Of course, he knew how good she was at coaxing people. He also knew that she would only coax him when she was guilty. However, Pei Yuqing leaned over and planted a gentle kiss on the girl's forehead. He said hoarsely, "Me too." However, he was still willing to drink poison to quench his thirst. Pei Yutong was bewildered. His brother had come in too suddenly, so he should have seen the poster. But looking at his expression, it seemed like he didn't know anything and wasn't angry. Had he really not seen it, or had big sister-in-law coaxed him too easily? Lin Yan was done packing her things. The three of them moved everything to the car downstairs and drove to Pei Yuqing's villa. Lin Yan received a message from Wang Jingyang. "Dog, I got off work early. I'll help you move." Misty City amid the setting sun replied, "It's fine. I've settled everything." "Dog, so fast? Why didn't you wait for me?" Misty City amid the setting sun replied, "I don't have much stuff. I didn't need to trouble you." Wang Jingyang had a bad premonition as he stared at Lin Yan's new WeChat ID. At Cloud Manor, when they reached the villa, Pei Nanshu helped them carry Lin Yan's luggage. "Fortunately, big sister-in-law is here to take care of big brother. I have already told my manager to help me get some work back." Pei Nanshu grinned. In other words, he wouldn't be staying at home for too long, and the two of them could spend some time together. If he hadn't promised his father that he would stay here to look after Big Brother, he wouldn't have stayed after Lin Yan had arrived. Mr. Pei, you're being too polite. It's what I should do. Lin Yan replied hastily as she held his hand. Pei Yutong had reminded her that Pei Nanshu had been staying here as well. She had to be more careful in case Pei Yuqing misunderstood her. Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl, who was holding his hand carefully. Then he glanced at his second brother warmly. After entering the room, Lin Yan's back stiffened as she suddenly recalled something. Which room would she be staying in after moving in? Would she be sharing a room with Pei Yuqing? Mr. Pei? May I know where I will be staying? Lin Yan raised her hand and asked meekly. Pei Yuqing's mesmerizing eyes darted to the girl gently. A teasing smile appeared in his eyes as he asked slowly, which room do you want to stay in? Chapter 376. Lin Yan's cheeks flushed when she heard his question. She had no ulterior motives. Pei Yuqing didn't tease her anymore. I've prepared a room for you. It's the guest room next to the master bedroom. Flash dance. Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pei. Pei Yuqing led Lin Yan to the guest room. Pei Yutong, who was trailing behind them, looked anxious. He had been waiting for the stars and the moon. The car had finally sped up, so how could he brake now? Pei Yutong couldn't help but chase after Lin Yan. He whispered in her ear, Big sister-in-law, I saw the decorations you liked. Are you afraid of ghosts? Let me tell you, men have strong yang energy. It's good at exorcising ghosts. It's more effective than any weapon. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched as she fell silent. Pei Yuqing was good at exorcising ghosts? How could she dare to stay in the same room as Pei Yuqing? What if the other lecher took advantage of the situation and did something to Pei Yuqing? Wouldn't she become a sinner for all eternity? She would be at a disadvantage then. She would be the scapegoat every time and wouldn't even know what had happened. Lin Yan replied calmly, You're overthinking. I'm not afraid of ghosts at all. Those decorations are for decoration. I want the room to look classy. If you want the house to look classy, then why do you need decorations and decorations? Just put my brother inside. There's nothing more classy than that. Pei Yutong sounded like a salesman at that moment. Flash dance. Lin Yan was speechless. Pei Yuqing led Lin Yan to the room. She stood at the door and scanned the room. The room was decorated in a quiet and classy Morandi color scheme. The decorations were comfortable and simple, and there were daily necessities. Lin Yan didn't need to prepare anything for herself. Pei Yuqing replied, If you need anything you can tell me. No, it's fine. I don't need anything. Thank you, Mr. Pei. I just need to tidy up my things. Lin Yan replied hastily. Lin Yan surveyed the comfortable room before glancing at the man before her. She recalled how she had almost ended up on the streets a few months ago. It felt as though a lifetime had passed. Sigh, from hell to heaven, it's just like this. All of a sudden, she felt that the pervert who had forced her to put on an act and fall in love with Pei Yuqing wasn't just trying to trick her. Tidy up first. Call me if you need anything. I'll go cook, Pei Yuqing replied. Lin Yan was speechless. Cook? After a loud end sound. Lin Yan had fallen from heaven to hell again. Big brother, sister-in-law, there's something urgent at the motorcade. You know old Wang from our motorcade, right? He was hit by a car. I have to hurry over and take a look. I'll take my leave first. There's no need to send me off. Bye-bye. Pei Yutong responded quickly. Lin Yan grabbed him and hissed through gritted teeth, Are you going to abandon your father just like that? You unfilial son. Pei Yutong scowled miserably. I can get beaten up by my brother, but I can't eat my brother's food. After saying that, he immediately ran away faster than a rabbit. F***ck. Lin Yan gritted her teeth. What a disloyal fellow. Next time, she would let him know that a father's love was like a landslide. Chapter 377. Lin Yan could only turn to her last hope, Pei Nanshu. Pei Nanshu coughed softly when he saw Lin Yan's pleading gaze. Ahem. I have a dinner tonight. This was the first day that big sister-in-law had moved in, so he had deliberately avoided her so that she could be alone with her big brother. He hadn't expected that he would be able to escape this calamity. Lin Yan replied, All right then. She hadn't expected that her idol would abandon her. Lin Yan glanced at the kitchen and couldn't help but ask Pei Nanshu, Mr. Pei, I have a question. Doesn't Mr. Pei know that his food is disgusting? She remembered that he had eaten the food that day. Pei Nanshu was startled. He shook his head and replied, Big brother? He doesn't know. Why wouldn't he know? He ate it himself. Lin Yan was puzzled. Pei Nanshu fell silent for a moment before he replied, because my brother has never had a sense of taste since he was young. What? Lin Yan was taken aback by his words. She hadn't expected that this would be the reason. Are you saying that Mr. Pei doesn't have a sense of taste? Lin Yan was shocked. That's right. That's why he doesn't even know what salt, vinegar, sourness, sweetness, bitterness and spiciness are, Pei Nanshu explained. Oh, I see. No wonder. Lin Yan muttered to herself. But why doesn't he have a sense of taste? What caused this? Is there no treatment? I'm not too sure either. Anyway, I've known for a long time that Big Brother has no sense of taste. He seems to have been born with it and he doesn't like people to talk about it. Ahem, my big brother likes to cook. He used to cook for us. Pei Nanshu said helplessly. Actually, he used to live with Big Brother. However, he couldn't stand Big Brother's cooking. Lin Yan was speechless. Why was she suspecting the real reason why Pei Yutong had left home? Was it because he didn't want to eat his brother's cooking? At that moment, Pei Nanshu received a call. His manager was probably rushing him. After the call, Pei Nanshu said, Miss Lin, I'm leaving now. Please take care of my brother. Sure. Don't worry. After Pei Nanshu left, Lin Yan stood rooted to the ground, feeling conflicted. Initially, she had thought that she couldn't let Pei Yuqing cook. However, after hearing what he had said, she hesitated. If she were to run over and stop him from cooking, wouldn't it seem like she was despising him? This was too hurtful. But if she didn't stop him, she would be hurt. Lin Yan's eyes trailed to the tall figure in the kitchen. The man had taken off his coat, and his sleeves were rolled up as he washed the vegetables. Sigh, why is even cooking so pleasing to the eye? Forget it, it's just a meal. What's the big deal? You won't die from eating it. Soon Pei Yuqing was done cooking. To be honest, Pei Yuqing was rather meticulous when he did things, and his movements were especially beautiful. When he did these things, one couldn't take their eyes off him. Judging from the process of him cooking, it was as though he was completing a piece of art. One could not wait to see the finished product. Of course, that was if Lin Yan hadn't tasted Pei Yuqing's cooking before. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 378. Lin Yan sat at the table, feeling as though she was sitting on pins and needles. It was just a meal, but she felt as though she was about to enter the execution ground. Try it? Pei Yuqing picked up a piece of braised pork for her. Okay, thank you. I'll do it myself. Lin Yan glanced at the braised pork. The color and appearance seemed pretty good. Perhaps it wasn't that scary? Perhaps she had been unlucky the last time and had eaten the worst food? Hence, Lin Yan put the braised pork into her mouth. A second later, as she chewed, Lin Yan could clearly feel the taste of death. It was even worse than the last time she had eaten it. She was afraid that she would really die from eating it. So it turned out that she hadn't been unlucky the last time. She had been so lucky that she hadn't known how to cherish it. It must have been really difficult to cook such horrible food, right? Boss, how did you do it? How could you cook such horrible food? Even she found it hard to swallow her food in front of Pei Yuqing's handsome face. This showed how lethal the food was. Pei Yuqing's crazy female fans should come and try his food. That would definitely cause a mass exodus of fans. As his girlfriend, Lin Yan had no choice but to swallow her feelings silently. Lin Yan muttered, It's delicious. It's delicious. Life was like a drama and it all depended on acting. It's good that you like it. The food outside isn't healthy. When you start working, I'll prepare lunch for you. You can bring it over, Pei Yuqing said. Lin Yan's chopsticks dropped the quail egg on the plate with a loud thud. This was a bolt out of the blue. Even though her heart had been corroded by the braised pork, vegetables, and sweet and sour pork, Lin Yan still smiled and said, Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pei. Was this the feeling of love? If it wasn't true love, who would be able to do it? When the meal was finally over, Lin Yan felt as though she had survived a calamity. Thank you for cooking for me. I'll go wash the dishes. Lin Yan volunteered. Pei Yuqing stroked the girl's head. It's okay. Go and rest. Just eat. Lin Yan was speechless. Ha, you're in charge of eating? This sentence should have been such a romantic one. But when it came to her, it became a death warrant. Lin Yan felt that she needed to take a breather. Hence, she returned to her room and secretly rummaged through all the snacks she had brought. He tore open a few milk candies and stuffed them all into his mouth. When the candy melted in her mouth, Lin Yan finally felt as though she had returned to the mortal world. Fortunately, she had brought all the snacks with her. Many celebrities preferred to go on a diet. However, Lin Yan's body consumed more energy than ordinary people, so she didn't have to go on a diet. She ate as usual and had plenty of snacks at home. As long as he didn't eat too much, he wouldn't get fat. Being a racer was also a profession that required strict weight control, so she paid attention to this aspect. After eating some snacks, she finally felt better. Then she began to organize her things. He looked at the garlic, peachwood sword, talisman paper and other items in one of the big bags. Lin Yan scanned the elegantly decorated room. No matter how she looked at it, she felt that it would ruin the style. However, she had no choice. It was more important to preserve her integrity. She had been normal for a long time. Perhaps it was because of these items. Lin Yan's expression tightened as she watched the night sky darken. She hurriedly hung up everything. For a better reading experience, please visit the website of self-love. The master bedroom was very close to the guest bedroom, and the windows were open. If they made any loud noises, they would be able to hear it. Sensing that Lin Yan was asleep, the man put down his book and lay down. The night grew darker and darker. Lin Yan was fast asleep. However, just as she was about to fall asleep, she vaguely heard a beeping sound coming from the master bedroom next door. I can finally see my baby's comments. I feel alive. I miss you guys so much. Come and have fun. Chapter 380. At the entrance of Cloud Manor, Pei Nanshu had wanted to give his brother and Lin Yan a chance to be alone, so he had planned to return the next day. However, in the middle of the night, he had suddenly received news from the specialist team that his brother's vitals had started to break through the threshold. How could something have happened to Big Brother? Lin Yan was at home. He had left because he knew that Big Brother would be fine with Lin Yan around. He hadn't expected the specialist to call him. Pei Nanshu had no choice but to rush back in the middle of the night. He had called Lin Yan on the way, but Lin Yan had probably fallen asleep. Her phone had been switched off and no one had picked up. When he arrived, apart from a group of experts and professors, Qin Huan and Xing Chen were also there. What happened? Pei Nanshu asked, panting heavily. Qin Huan looked perplexed. I don't know. His condition had stabilized for a day and a night. We thought that it was getting better, but it suddenly started again. It has been going on for a long time and it hasn't stopped yet. Second young master, why aren't you by his side? Given Brother Yu's condition, how can he leave us? Pei Nanshu replied anxiously, Miss Lin is with my brother, so I thought that everything would be fine. Qin Huan, who was startled, exclaimed, Miss Lin? Are you talking about Lin Yan? Did she stay at Brother Yu's place tonight? Pei Nanshu replied, they are currently staying together. Qin Huan's face lit up with joy. Not only have they gotten back together, but they are also living together. Are they living together? Are you serious? Isn't that great? In that case, brother, you should be fine with Lin Yan, who was a powerful stabilizer. What is going on? Has Lin Yan's stabilizer worked? Pei Nanshu shook his head. I just came back, so I don't know what's going on. Miss Lin's phone has been switched off, so I don't know what's going on inside. When Pei Yuqing acted up, no one except Lin Yan could get close to him. That was because he could lose control of his powers at any time. Besides, they might agitate him if they were around him. Therefore, without knowing the situation, they did not dare to rashly go in. When Xing Chen heard this, he bit the lollipop in his mouth and looked a little suspicious. At this moment, one of the doctors held a black instrument the size of a cell phone in one hand and a special gray box in the other. He said in a low voice, this situation is too dangerous. We must immediately give young master a stabilizer injection. Pei Nanshu stared at the box in the doctor's hands and frowned. Professor Tan, didn't you say that this stabilizer has a lot of side effects? Qin Huan chimed in, yeah, Brother Yu's body is already weak. How can he take it if he registers now? Xing Chen quipped, that shouldn't be the case. As long as Miss Lin is around, Brother Yu won't lose control. There has never been an exception. Unless, Pei Nanshu understood what Xing Chen meant and immediately explained, they have been very close recently. Before I left, my brother was still cooking dinner for Miss Lin. Qin Huan looked horrified. Brother Yu is cooking for Lin Yan? How could you let Brother Yu cook for that woman? Finished. That woman will definitely break up with Brother Yu after eating his cooking. Chapter 381. Pei Nanshu coughed softly. Miss Lin ate my brother's cooking last time. At that time she chose to hide it just like us. She didn't seem unhappy with my brother because of it. Qin Huan fell silent for a long time before he sighed. I didn't expect that woman to love brother you. Xing Qin frowned. Don't talk nonsense. We should think about what to do now. Should we inject the stabilizer or not? Qin Huan and Pei Nanshu fell silent when they heard Xing Qin. Even though Pei Nanshu was Pei Yuqing's biological brother, he couldn't make such a big decision. Qin Huan muttered under his breath, I think it's better not to inject him. In the past, whenever boss was injected with stabilizers he was tormented half to death. Professor Tan glanced at Qin Huan with displeasure. Then he turned to Pei Nanshu and said sternly, Second young master, please open the door and let us in. Eldest young master needs to be injected with the stabilizer immediately. Even if the stabilizer has side effects, it's better than losing his life. Given eldest young master's current condition, he will be in danger even if we delay it for another minute. Chairman Pei has ordered us to inject the stabilizer into eldest young master as soon as possible. As for that woman, she can at most affect Mr. Pei's emotions and temporarily delay the onset of an attack. How can she replace the stabilizer? Pei Nanshu was a little shaken by Professor Tan's words. So, what are the side effects of this newly developed stabilizer? Professor Tan replied, the side effects we know are similar to the previous ones. It may affect the body's defense mechanism and cause damage to the immune system. In addition, there will be a certain degree of ulceration. Eldest young master's illness was too sudden, so we haven't done the final tests on the newly developed stabilizer. So, we can't predict the other side effects for now. What? Pei Nanshu's expression darkened. The damage to the immune system was serious enough. What more could there be? So many unpredictable situations. However, just as Professor Tan had said, staying alive was more important, Qin Huan chimed in. Old Tan, don't blame me for being blunt. The problem is that the stabilizer you developed didn't seem to be very effective. Brother Yu's wretched watch was beeping every other day. It was basically temporary and didn't last at all. Plus, there are a lot of side effects which tormented Brother Yu. When Professor Tan heard that, he was so angry that his beard almost curled up. What do you know, you little brat? Do you know how much effort we spent on these stabilizers? I dare say that other than the laboratory I lead, there is absolutely no one else who can develop it. If it wasn't for me, eldest young master's body wouldn't have lasted this long. Qin Huan rubbed his nose and muttered, I'm telling the truth. Look at you, you're even angry. Your product isn't as natural and harmless as Lin Yan's stabilizer. Professor Tan, you little brat. Since you said that the woman is more effective than my stabilizer, why did eldest young master still act up when she's by his side? Qin Huan touched his chin. Well, even though we are living together. But Qin Huan glanced at Pei Nanshu. Second young master, is she sleeping with Brother Yu? Chapter 382. Pei Nanshu looked awkward as he coughed softly. No, they slept in separate rooms. Qin Huan snapped his fingers and said, that's right. I thought they were sleeping together. It's not like we're staying together all the time. If it's acting up, it's because we're not close enough to the stabilizer. Pei Nanshu was speechless. Although Qin Huan's words were a little reasonable, in the end Pei Nanshu led all the experts into the room. On the other hand, Lin Yan was still sleeping soundly on the bed. Lin Yan had been sleeping soundly when her phone rang. She instinctively switched it off because it was too noisy. When she finally snapped out of her daze, she was worried that Zhao Hongling had something urgent to discuss with her. Hence, she switched on her phone again. There were a few missed calls from Pei Nanshu. Why was Pei Nanshu looking for her in the middle of the night? She was puzzled when she saw a group of people standing at the door. Pei Nanshu was among them. What was going on? Lin Yan didn't have time to think. She hastily got out of bed and rushed to the door. Lin Yan had just stepped out of the room when she bumped into Pei Nanshu and the others. Pei Nanshu rushed forward when he saw Lin Yan. Miss Lin, are you all right? I'm fine. Mr. Pei, why did you call me so urgently? Sorry, I was sleeping and turned off my phone in a daze. Why are you guys here so late at night? Lin Yan's eyes darted to Qin Huan, Xing Qin, and the experts suspiciously. She knew Qin Huan and Xing Qin. She had seen them before, but the girl in black was missing. Qin Huan hastily pushed Pei Nanshu aside and rushed forward. Sister-in-law. Lin Yan was speechless as she stared at the man who had suddenly approached her. Who was he? Qin Huan said, Sister-in-law, Brother Yu's condition is very dangerous. Do you know what's happening to him? Lin Yan's expression changed instantly. Dangerous? How could that be? After we finished dinner, we went to bed separately. There was nothing wrong. Hey? How could you guys go to bed? Qin Huan sounded distressed. Lin Yan replied, Huh? What did that mean? Qin Huan coughed softly. What I mean is, anyway, Brother Yu's condition is very dangerous. Take a look yourself. As Qin Huan spoke, she took out the phone-sized device from the professor's hand and showed it to her. She saw that the curve on the device was extremely high and the red light on the device was still shockingly bright. Then why are you guys still standing here? Hurry up and go in. Lin Yan looked exasperated. She had almost kicked him in. This girl is right. If you continue to spout nonsense, young master's life will really be in danger. All of you get out of my way. The white-haired old man said angrily. Qin Huan hurriedly stopped them. Big sister-in-law, you can't let them go. Medicine that can suppress Brother Yu's condition has severe side effects. It's best not to take it. Lin Yan looked disapproving. What kind of logic is that? If you don't take medicine when you're sick, what should you take? Even if the side effects were great, it was still better than losing his life, right? Of course we should listen to the doctor. End of update, Mwax. Chapter 383. Sister-in-law, don't believe these old men's nonsense. The medicine they develop for Brother Yu is no different from poison. They only care about completing their mission and temporarily suppressing his illness. They don't care about how much suffering Brother Yu will suffer. That kind of life is neither human nor ghost. Even coming into contact with the air can be dangerous. Can that still be called living? Qin Huan said anxiously. Ignorant lad. What do you know? How dare you spout nonsense here? Professor Tan was infuriated. This lad had repeatedly questioned their painstaking research. He was simply too arrogant. The other experts behind him began to reprimand him as well. We are the professionals. If you want young master's well-being, get out of the way. That's right. Otherwise, can you bear the responsibility if anything happens to him? No matter how serious the side effects of the medicine are, is it more important than his life? Lin Yan's head was throbbing, but Qin Huan's words bothered her. She hesitated before she asked Qin Huan, other than taking the medicine, do you have any other solution? Qin Huan replied immediately, yes. As long as you sleep with Brother Yu. I mean, as long as you stay within Brother Yu's line of sight, everything will be fine. If you can touch him, that would be even better. Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan was exasperated. What was going on? After a moment of silence, Lin Yan said solemnly, I think the doctor's words are more reliable. After all, Qin Huan seemed to be a lunatic. Even though Pei Yuqing's illness was highly affected by his emotions and she could calm him down at times, he was in such a dangerous situation. How could she be so childish? Did he really think she was a ginseng doll? Oh my God. Sister-in-law, why don't you believe me? Your brother used medicine. You're more useful than any tranquilizer, stabilizer, or any other random drug. You rascal. How dare you say that the medicine I developed is a mess? Lin Yan's expression hardened when she saw that they were about to start arguing again. All of you shut up. I'm going in to check on Mr. Pei. What? No way. This is too dangerous. At this time, no one is allowed to get close to young master. Before the professor could finish, Lin Yan strode to Pei Yuqing's bedroom. Before anyone could react, she turned the key and walked in. Pei Nanshu was shocked. He wanted to stop her, but it was too late. Professor Tan was also stunned. This young lady. Do you want to die? Anyone who dared to approach Pei Yuqing now would either die or be seriously injured. Even when they injected him with the stabilizer, they had to use a special device to control it. But now that things had come to this, everyone could only watch as the girl recklessly barged in. Then they all stared nervously at the flashing red device in Professor Tan's hand. When Lin Yan walked in, she didn't see the mess that she had expected. It wasn't as terrifying as the people outside had described. The whole room was quiet except for the faint sound of the watch alarm coming from the head of the bed. Pei Yuqing was sleeping soundly on the bed. However, at this moment, the man's expression was not normal. His forehead was covered in sweat and he looked like he was in pain. His breathing became more and more rapid, as if he was experiencing something extremely terrifying. Chapter 384. Lin Yan hastily took a few steps forward. The moment she got close, the man on the bed opened his eyes abruptly. Lin Yan had never seen such a terrifying pair of eyes in the night. They were extremely cold, like a bloodthirsty beast that could destroy everything at any time. An immense sense of oppression filled the room, making Lin Yan's scalp go numb. She stood rooted to the ground, not daring to take another step forward. At the same time, the watch on Pei Yuqing's wrist seemed to be stimulated by something as it began to ring rapidly. The sound made her hair stand on end. It was as though it was a sign of impending danger. Fear surged in the depths of Lin Yan's mind. Her first reaction was to run away from the man and the danger before her. However, Pei Yuqing's gaze became even more frightening the moment this thought popped into her mind. Lin Yan forced herself to calm down. Pei Yuqing seemed to be having a nightmare. He had been woken up by her abruptly, so he hadn't recognized her. So she had to calm down. Calm down. Don't be afraid. She had a vague feeling that her fearful attitude would agitate the man. She recalled the gentle way the man had always treated her. She recalled how Pei Yuqing had said that he couldn't bear to part with her, how he had asked her what reward she wanted, and how he had told her that she looked very beautiful on the competition stage. Lin Yan shut her eyes and forced herself not to retreat. Instead, she stood rooted to the ground and mustered her courage. Mr. Pei, in the room where only the sound of the alarm could be heard, the girl's soft voice was like a faint ray of light in a dark swamp. Pei Yuqing's cold eyes flickered as he snapped back to his senses. Following that, those terrifying eyes gradually regained their focus, and his gaze slowly fell on the girl in front of him. Mr. Pei, how are you feeling? Are you all right? Lin Yan frowned as she watched the man sit up slowly. However, Lin Yan didn't hear the man's reply. Pei Yuqing was like a beast that had no emotions or reason. In a split second he had appeared beside Lin Yan. Lin Yan and Pei Yuqing's eyes met. Pei Yuqing's eyes were as mesmerizing as the stars in the sky. However, Lin Yan didn't have the time to admire his eyes now. His eyes were so cold and terrifying that it made one feel suffocated. Lin Yan wanted to break into a run when she met his cold, piercing gaze. Mr. Pei, are you all right? Lin Yan glanced at him as she tried to calm herself down. Before Lin Yan could react, Pei Yuqing suddenly extended his hand and grabbed her right arm. Lin Yan broke out in a cold sweat when she sensed the man's strength. Was this man trying to rip her arm off? Wasn't this relationship a little too deadly? Pei, before Lin Yan could respond, Pei Yuqing's eyes gleamed coldly. Boom. In the next second, the people outside the room heard a loud noise coming from inside the room. What happened? Pei Nanshu's expression changed slightly as he prepared to charge into the room. However, before he could do anything, Qin Huan pulled him back. Second young master. Hold on. Chapter 385. It's so dark and windy? Qin Huan stared at Pei Nanshu and smiled faintly. It's so dark and windy. A man, a widow, and a woman are in the same room. They must be communicating their feelings. It's a little too loud. I understand. Second young master, don't cause trouble. Pei Nanshu was speechless. How could they be trying to get to know each other? Meanwhile, in the room, Pei Yuqing strolled beside the bed, looking as though he was searching for something. Lin Yan hid under the desk and covered her mouth. She didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Fortunately, she had broken free in time. Otherwise, wouldn't Pei Yuqing's kick have killed her? Besides, Lin Yan had never imagined that Pei Yuqing would be so terrifying. Before Lin Yan could think further, she saw a pair of dark eyes staring at her. Lin Yan had been hiding under the desk. She hadn't expected that Pei Yuqing, who seemed unconscious, would be able to react quickly and discover her. Mr. Pei, before Lin Yan could finish speaking, Pei Yuqing had smashed the wooden desk into the air. A second later, Pei Yuqing reached out to grab Lin Yan. Damn it. Lin Yan gritted her teeth. Although she didn't know what had happened, Pei Yuqing wasn't acting normally. She didn't have time to hesitate. She threw a punch at Pei Yuqing, hoping that she could force him to retreat so that she could escape. Also, couldn't those idiots outside hear what was going on inside the room? There wasn't a single person in sight. Bang. Lin Yan threw a punch, but Pei Yuqing grabbed it instantly. Pei Yuqing's palm was like a mountain. No matter how hard Lin Yan tried, she couldn't break free. She was doomed. She was doomed. However, just as Lin Yan thought that she was doomed, she sensed Pei Yuqing's terrifying strength retreating when he touched her palm. His cold gaze seemed to regain its warmth. Instinctively, Lin Yan fidgeted with the man's hand and called out, Mr. Pei? Pei Yuqing gently squeezed the girl's hand, and the hostility in his body dissipated like the receding tide. Lin Yan was pleasantly surprised to see that he had finally woken up. Even the silver watch on his wrist had stopped beeping as though nothing had happened. At this moment, she suddenly remembered what the man with the white tulip in his chest pocket had said to her when she was outside. Could it be that she had really influenced Pei Yuqing that much? It was one thing for it to affect his emotions, but it could also treat and save people? This was too inconceivable. No matter what, she recalled the few times she had interacted with Pei Yuqing. That seemed to be the case. Mr. Pei? It's me. Did you have a nightmare? Lin Yin tried her best to sound gentle. Pei Yuqing studied the girl before him, who was wearing pajamas and slippers. She stood awkwardly a few steps away from him, not knowing whether to move forward or retreat. Miss Lin. Yes, it's me. It's me. Lin Yin heaved a sigh of relief when she heard Pei Yuqing's voice. Pei Yuqing released the girl's hand and pinched his eyebrows. What's wrong? Lin Yin scratched her head at a loss for words. Should she say that there was chaos outside and that she had been forced to rush in to see if he was dead? In the end, she had fought with him? Besides, Lin Yin wasn't sure if Pei Yuqing had completely calmed down, hence Lin Yin said, Mr. Pei, didn't you say that if I was afraid to sleep alone at night, I could look for you? Lin Yin raised her head and blinked at the man. I'm afraid. Chapter 386. She was afraid. She was really afraid. Hence, there was no need for Lin Yin to feign fear. Pei Yuqing was startled when he heard her. The last trace of gloominess in his eyes vanished completely, and his cold gaze melted bit by bit. Lin Yin mustered her courage and said, Sorry, I shouldn't have barged in. Did I disturb you? Pei Yuqing's face was sickly pale, and there were dark shadows under his eyes. He seemed to be in a trance and he looked unusually weak. He looked completely different from his violent self earlier. Lin Yin hesitated when she saw him. She wondered if she should escape while Pei Yuqing let his guard down. Otherwise, if he were to lose control later, she would really be in a relationship that would cost her life. It was all Pei Yutong's fault. He had always instilled in her that Pei Yuqing was weak. She had almost forgotten how he had slapped the girl in black when he had lost control. Pei Yuqing must have been the culprit behind the mess in the nightclub. What a sin. What kind of dangerous place was she staying in? At this thought, Lin Yin made up her mind. She grabbed Pei Yuqing's hand. The girl extended her tiny hand and held the man's broad palm. She said softly, If I stay by your side, I won't be afraid. Lin Yin wished that she could slap herself when she said that. *CK. Why did she have to say the opposite? Did women in love always say one thing but mean another? She had wanted to run away, but by the time she reacted, she had already grabbed Pei Yuqing's hand. Had she eaten a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? Wasn't she afraid that Pei Yuqing would twist her head off in the next second? Lin Yin shuddered as she regretted her decision. A second later, she fell into a warm embrace. In an instant, her breath was filled with the man's familiar, clear scent. The moonlight spilled in through the window and shone on the two of them. The huge bedroom was silent. The silver watch on the man's wrist was quiet and did not make any sound. Bang. The next second, a loud bang of the door broke the silence. Big brother, Miss Lin? Pei Nanshu had just barged in when he saw the two of them hugging each other. Pei Nanshu and Qin Huan, as well as the experts and professors standing behind them, were all dumbfounded. Professor Tan stared at the instrument in his hand in disbelief. It's stable? It's stable? Qin Huan blinked and then said excitedly, F***CK. Second young master. I told you we were exchanging feelings, but you didn't believe me. Hence, Pei Nanshu stood awkwardly on the spot. The two people in the room were interrupted just like that. Pei Nanshu, Qin Huan, and the others hurriedly retreated when they sensed Pei Yuqing's icy gaze. Big brother, I'm sorry. Due to the abnormality of the instrument, we were worried and came over to take a look. I'm sorry for disturbing you. As soon as he finished speaking, the door was tightly shut with a bang. Outside the door, Pei Nanshu and the others looked as though they had just escaped death. Qin Huan stared at the extremely stable value on the instrument and said proudly, How about it, old man? I told you that natural stabilizers are the best. Just one hug and everything is settled. It's much better than your chemical products. Mobile users, please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 387. Although Pei Yuqing's condition had stabilized, no one dared to let their guard down. Pei Nanshu, Qin Huan, Xing Qin, and a few other experts guarded the room for the entire night and made all the necessary preparations. The next morning, Everyone except Qin Huan had huge panda eyes. Qin Huan stretched lazily and said, I told you that everything would be fine with that woman around. You guys just like to worry. Looking at Qin Huan's heartless look, Xing Chen glanced at him faintly and moved his left hand out of habit. His left hand immediately made a creaking sound of metal rubbing against each other. Qin Huan had been lucky that he hadn't met Brother Yu when he lost control. He had experienced it himself. He didn't dare to recall what had happened. At that time he had managed to keep his life. He had only lost a hand. Now that he thought about it, he was really lucky. After making sure that Pei Yuqing's condition had stabilized, everyone left. Meanwhile, in the spacious and bright bedroom, Lin Yan lay on the white bed beside the man. She hadn't slept all night. She held the man's hand carefully and didn't dare to let go. She was afraid that the death watch on his wrist would start beeping again if she let go of it. She had been wrong. She had really been wrong. She suddenly realized that she had made a huge mistake. She had told herself to trust Pei Yuqing's gentle and kind side. However, she had forgotten about his terrifying side. She had forgotten that his gentleness and kindness were just a facade. His facade had been too successful. She had been lured into hell by Pei Yuqing's angelic side. However, she couldn't be blamed. No one in this world could withstand this man's fake gentleness. She had said that she wanted to stay with him. It was impossible for her to go back on her words now. Besides, she didn't dare to. Lin Yan's eyes were wide open as she lay on the bed. She had been extremely nervous the entire night. When the hand she was holding suddenly moved, she immediately sensed it. Lin Yan's gaze trailed up to the man beside her. She didn't know when the man had woken up, but his pair of gloomy eyes were quietly staring at her. Lin Yan jumped in fright and almost broke into a run. She shrank her neck and held her breath. She coughed softly and said carefully, Mr. Pei? You're awake? Pei Yuqing didn't speak. The morning sun shone on the man's face, but it couldn't melt the iciness on his face. His silence made Lin Yan even more uneasy. She held her breath nervously and didn't dare speak again. What if I accidentally said something that agitated him? After some time, the man's gaze landed on the girl's small hand. His slender fingers gently hooked the girl's palm and he said casually, Do you regret it? Lin Yan's heart skipped a beat as soon as the man finished speaking. At that moment, Pei Yuqing's eyes seemed to have seen through her completely. She had nowhere to hide. Wasn't this man too scary? He could tell what she was thinking at a glance. Besides, the current Pei Yuqing gave her an extremely unfamiliar feeling. She felt as though she had never truly known or understood the person in front of her. For a better reading experience, please browse and read on the internet. Chapter 388. Regretting it? Of course she regretted it. How could she not? But at this moment, even if you beat her to death, she wouldn't dare to say these two words. Pei Yuqing had been fine earlier on. Why had he suddenly lost control? Was it because of a nightmare? As the saying went, one dreamed of what they thought during the day. What had triggered him to have a nightmare that had made him lose control? Could it be that he had discovered her hiding the poster during the day? And he had discovered her twice? She couldn't be so unlucky, could she? Lin Yan didn't have time to think. In order to save her life, she could only blink and feign ignorance. Regret? Regret what? Pei Yuqing's fingers grasped the girl's hand and pressed it down. In a hushed voice he said, Regret coming to me? Regret being dragged into hell by me? The man's deep voice and cold gaze were like chains that pulled her into the depths of the darkness. Lin Yan was speechless. She did regret it, but she had to admit that he had lured her here. What else could she do? In the end, Lin Yan coughed softly and raised her head. She smiled sincerely and said, How could that be? Wherever you are, even if it's a barren desert, it's still an oasis for me. You're the source of water at the end of the desert. You're the warm sun at the peak of the snow mountain. You're the starlight in the endless night. Lin Yan had never imagined that her acting skills would save her life one day. What did this mean? It meant that she had to study hard and improve every day. One more skill meant one more way to make a living. Besides, she had to continue to work hard and evolve to deal with the boss, who was constantly increasing the difficulty of the level. This time, under the immense pressure, Lin Yan got into character quickly. When she met the man's eyes, she looked even more sincere. Besides, so what if you take me to hell? You're there. Pei Yuqing's eyes flickered as he listened to the girl. He seemed to have sunk into a complicated train of thought. These were words that he had never hoped to hear from a girl's mouth in his entire life. Who would have thought that one day he would actually hear it from her mouth? As long as you're there, so what if it's hell? You're still there. These words reverberated in his ears over and over again like a cup of poisoned wine. Even though he knew it was poisonous, he kept tasting it, drinking poison to quench his thirst. Pei Yuqing was startled. After some time, the corners of his mouth twitched as though he was smiling. His thin lips parted slightly as he muttered something. Little liar. The man's voice was too soft, so Lin Yan couldn't hear him clearly. She asked cautiously, "Huh? Mr. Pei, what did you say? I didn't hear you clearly." "Miss Lin, you don't have to be nervous." Pei Yuqing chuckled softly as he continued to squeeze the girl's hand gently. "No matter what nonsense you spout, I will believe you." Lin Yan choked on her own saliva. No, I'm not lying. Every single word I said came from the bottom of my heart." Pei Yuqing replied, "I believe you." Lin Yan was speechless. Mobile users, please continue to browse and read. For a better reading experience, please come to the website of self-love. My dear readers, I've been waiting for a long time. My train of thought is slightly stuck. I'll make up for it when it goes smoothly. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.